Hello dear friends, welcome to GATE Academy Global. So before starting today's session, I would like to take the concurrence or the feedback from each one of you regarding the quality of video as well as audio. If the quality of video as well as audio is very perfect from your side, just write perfect over the live chat. So at least I'll get to know each and everything is smoothly running from your side. And at the same time, I would request to each one of you, the people who are live currently, they must share this session to their friends, their colleagues, their batchmates, their juniors. So most of the students who are sitting in GATE 2021 would get benefited. So just wanted to have the feedback from each one of you regarding the quality of video as well as audio. Is it perfect or not? If it is perfect, just write perfect over the live chat, and at the same time, please share this session to all of your members. All clear. Good evening, sir. Good evening. Anyways, the agenda behind today's video is very precise and clear. Mostly you would be able to see over the thumbnail as well as over the digital board. I am going to take the 10 best most problem from the engineering mathematics, and keep in mind this 10 problems are going to be a totally important problem if you are sitting in GATE 2021. And my mode of communication, at least on global, would be in English. So the students who are well acquainted with the Hindi, they are also not finding any problem. They won't find any problem at least over this complete video, because more or less we are discussing about the technical content, and in technical content, whether I am speaking in Hindi, whether I am speaking in English, does not make much sense. Yes. So till this point, at least the agenda must be clear to all of us. Anyways, before starting today's session, I would like to give a little bit code of conduct, that how you should follow this complete session of 10 questions. Yes. See what I am going to do now. At very beginning, I will show the problem over the digital board, and probably I will give around maybe 1 to 2 minutes, such that you will try by yourself. And if you are not able to solve those problems, definitely you will get familiarized with that problem. And after 2 minutes, I will give the complete analysis with the each and individual problem. I have picked the 10 problems in such a way that the each and individual problems are containing good amount of concept, probably which are utterly important in GATE examination. So I would request to each one of you, whatever I say, whatever we learn with the each and individual problem should go in your copy, and before going into the GATE examination, you can have once a brush up with all of the concepts. Yes. Anyways, before going to the first problem, I would recommend to each one of you not to have any frustration, because all of the 10 questions are properly designed problem. All of the 10 questions are giving you bit tension, so you need not to have any tension sort of thing. Just stick to the problem. If you are not able to solve that problem, stick to my concept, whichever would be delivered while solving the problem. Deliberately, I tried to cover few number of topics from where the questions comes here and there. That means the questions are not regularly coming from those topics. I have deliberately picked those number of topics such that the student who have not gone through those portions, they would be at least getting a little bit idea about those portions also. Yes, till this point nobody should have any doubt. So let me go into the working board. Yes, and this is my first question. Anyways, let me dictate the problem at very beginning, and once I would be dictating this problem completely, I would be giving around 1 to 2 minutes with the each and individual problem along with this problem. See what the problem states. Let f of xy, g of xy be defined by. We have got the two different functions, and how many number of independent variables are getting involved with each of the function, either it's a f, either it's a g. The two number of independent variables are getting involved. In first function, the f of xy is being defined as x square divided by of x square plus of y square, where the x as well as y both are not equal to 0, and the worth of f of xy was taken as 0 elsewhere. That means apart from x is equals to 0 and y is equals to 0. Similarly, the g, again, which is a bivariate function, has been defined as a 2xy square divided by of 3x square plus y square. Again, this function is exclusively defined when the x is not equals to 0 and y is not equals to 0, and elsewhere it is 0. That means precisely you can say at x is equals to 0 and y is equals to 0, the worth of the function is simply 0. Then at 0, 0, that means the study has to be made at 0, 0, which is our statements are true. The first statement goes like, the f of xy is continuous, g of xy is continuous, limit does exist for f of x comma y. Only limit exists for g within the bracket x comma y, but it is not continuous. Now many of the students would be thinking, I know that many of the students would thinking, sir, is this in our syllabus? My dear friends, this problem have come once in a production engineering year of 2015, not exact problem, no. The concept where the two number of independent variables are getting involved when we analyze the limit as well as continuity. Similarly, this problem have come in civil engineering year of 2016, and similarly one more problem have come in electronics engineering also. So what I find, mostly or repeatedly they have been framing the problem related to the continuity as well as limit, where only one independent variable is getting involved. So probably they may think or they may give a problem related to the two independent variables. So I would like to ask the answer from each one of you. This would be the first problem of the day, and it's a type of MSQ. I have designed all sort of problem. That means out of 10 number of problems, few would fall under the category of MSQ, few would fall under the category of MCQ, and few will fall under the NAT. So I have taken all sort of the possibilities in which the problem can be framed. Tell me what would be the best most answer. And I know many of the students would get frustrated after attending all of the 10 questions. No, my dear friends, need not to get any frustration at least from this video. Just try to grasp whatever the maximum concept you can grasp from each and individual problem, because each and individual problem have taken the different dimensions. Tell me what would be the best most answer for this particular problem. So answers have started coming. The answer have been A and D. Anything apart from A and D? Otherwise, I would start solving this problem by myself. And yes, you had to jot it down, each and every important concept which I am going to deal with this particular problem. Write down B and D, A and B, Okay, anyways, done. Let's move with the next slide. Anyways, before starting this problem, write it down few of the important facts. Anyways, once you will be dealing with this problem, at least you should have one clear-cut idea that you are going to deal with the continuity as well as limit of a function which have got the two independent variable. So write it down. The heading is the problem is from two independent number of variables. That means the function involves the two number of independent variables. Anyways, the person who have gone through my crash course, they might be knowing how to deal with this sort of problem. Anyways, I would give a little bit idea how to deal with this problem. See, what would be your approach whenever you go through a problem where the two number of independent variables are getting involved with any sort of function. See, if I take the reference what I was doing, just a minute, what I was doing with one independent variable based function, like the study has to be made at x is equals to c, and let's take the function has been defined as f of x. Let's start with a function which have only one number of independent variable. Yes. Now what is happening over here? So if I wanted to check the limit existent at x is equals to c, what I do? I used to travel from left hand side, and at the same time I used to travel from the right hand side towards x is equals to c, and I restrict or I stop myself at just before x is equals to c. I call it x is equals to c minus, and similarly I stop myself just before c while coming from the right hand side, and which is nothing but c plus, and the function will have its limit only and only the worth of the function at c minus is equals to of c plus. Yes, this was the minimum criteria of the limit existence. Yes, limit existence. Similarly, if you want to have the continuity over the x is equals to c, what was the demand for that? The demand was even fc must be equals to of f of c plus, and even the worth of the function should also be equals to of f of c. If you want to know what I wanted to clearly indicate, so at x is equals to of c minus at x is equals to of c plus, the worth must be almost same as the worth of the function at x is equals to c, at x is equals to c. Yes, till this point nobody should have any doubt as such. But my dear friends, this was the case when you have one independent variable involved with your function. So may I know what would be the approach when more than one? Basically the problem if comes in gate examination, the two number of independent variables would get involved. So keep in mind, when you have the two number of independent variable, definitely you would have the third dependent variable. So how many coordinates are getting involved? The three number of coordinates are getting involved. So this curve was drawn over a 2D plane. Now if we'll talk about the two number of independent variables, the curve would be drawn over the 3D plane. So here you can say whenever you have two number of independent variable, you have to use a 3D space. Yes, let's take this is what the x-axis, let's take this is the y-axis, and let's take this is what the z-axis. And here the structure which would be made, it won't be a contour, it won't be a curve, it would be a surface. Okay, so here it's gonna be, just a minute, here it's gonna be sort of surface. Either you have taken f of xy, either you have taken g of xy, whatever it might be. Now, if you guys would be able to recall, we had the two different functions, and the continuity as well as the limit has to be checked over the x is equals to 0 only. Yes, x is equals to 0 only. So may I know when the limit would exist at x is equals to 0? So what I do? This is what my x is equals to 0 as well as y is equals to 0, and even you can take z is also 0. So I would try to reach at x is equals to 0 as well as y is equals to 0 from the all possible directions. Like we had only two possible directions, either I can move towards right hand side, either I can move towards the left hand side, but here I have got the infinite number of different paths through which I can reach to this point. Yes, I can reach through the x-axis. Yes, I can reach through the y-axis, even I can reach through with an inclined line. Yes, I can reach through from the infinite different paths. And if each of the path trying to reach the same magnitude, if each of the path is trying to reach the same magnitude, that means there is no formation of the curve at x is equals to of 0 and 0. That means the function would remain, or the limit will exist for the given two-dimensional function. Agreed what I am saying? I would repeat once again what I am saying. There are several different paths. See what I am saying? There are several different paths through which you can reach 0, 0. And at 0, 0, definitely you would be having the magnitudes. And now at 0, 0, if you're coming from this path, you reach to this magnitude. Similarly, if you came from this path, you reach to this magnitude. Similarly, you can have the infinitely many number of ways through which you can reach to 0, 0, and each and individual would have their own magnitudes, which is nothing but z. And if all of the z's are equal, that means there is no abrupt change, at least at x is equals to 0 and y is equals to 0. What does that mean of it? That means at z is equals to, or at x is equals to 0 and y is equals to 0, the function does exist its continuity. Agreed? Anyways, before going into the detailed analysis, I would like to ask from each one of you, should I straight away go behind the problem and just get the answer, or should I go behind the concepts also? I want the comment over the comment box, so at least I'll get to know whether should I go behind the concepts or should I go behind the individual problems and just smash the problem just after solving the each and individual steps and getting the answer. Agreed what I'm saying? So what I would be doing, I would be recalling the first function. And that is nothing but f of xy. See how the function it was. Where the page has been gone? Yeah, here it is. The function was function was x square, and here goes x square plus of y square when x is not equals to 0 as well as y is not equals to 0, and 0 precisely, elsewhere that means at x is equals to 0 and y is equals to 0. Yes. First I would be focusing over the limit concept, no? Yes. So first I would be focusing over the limit. If limit does not exist, you need not to go behind the continuity. As we have seen, if limit does not exist, at that particular test point, definitely the continuity will also not exist. So what I would be doing, see. We had to apply the limit, and the limit test has to be conducted at 0, 0. That means the x and y together has to reach to 0. But now nobody can say through which path. You can take the infinite different path to reach x is equals to 0 and y is equals to 0. Definitely it will take the values of z according to the path. And here goes, the limit has to get applied over this function x square divided by of x square plus of y square. Yes. Whenever you are dealing with the two variable problems related to the continuity, just go ahead with the direct substitution. At very beginning, what I would be doing, I would be keeping x is equals to 0 as well as y is equals to 0. And once I feed x is equals to 0 as well as y is equals to 0, I get to know the result is indeterminate in nature. Then what must be your next step? See. Your next step is very crucial step. You had to go, or you had to reach to the point x is equals to 0 and y is equals to 0. How you can reach exactly at x is equals to 0 and y is equals to 0? Let's do the analysis that now I have taken this as a x plane, this as a y plane, and the magnitude of the function f of xy is towards upside. Like here it was a y axis, outside was a x axis, upside was a z axis. What I had done, I have flipped the complete plane. So now it became y axis, it became x axis, and the z axis towards outside. Now, may I know how many different paths you can have to reach 0, 0? Infinitely different path you can have. Yes? No. You can have y is equals to x. Yes? You can have y is equals to x. Once you will be keeping x is equals to 0, the y becomes 0. You can have y is equals to 2x. You can have y is equals to 3x. And in general, you can have y is equals to of mx. Yes? And even you can have a parabola, y is equals to of x square. This all are the points which are crossing through x comma y, which is equals to of 0, 0. Now what I wanted to say, or what I wanted to communicate, either of the path has been followed to reach x comma y as 0 and 0, the magnitude of the function f must be uniformly same. If the magnitude which you have reached by taking the path y is equals to x, y is equals to 2x, y is equals to 3x is different, what does it mean of it? That means if you are approaching 0, 0 through this path, you are landing to the different magnitude, the limit would not exist, as we have been dealing with the 2D curve. 2D curve. Tell me, so what I would be doing? Simply I would be keeping y is equals to of mx. And once you are keeping y is equals to of mx, this two variable independent function becomes one variable independent function. Simply you have to feed x is equals to 0, because you have to reach to the x is equals to 0. By default the y also becomes 0. So what you had to do? Instead the y you had to feed mx, and now this complete function becomes a one variable independent function, and now simply rather having x comma y as 0, 0, simply you can feed x as 0. Let me go into the next. So here it goes. So what I would be doing over here the function was limit x comma y was tending towards 0, 0. That means x is reaching towards 0 and y is also reaching towards 0. The function was x square divided by of x square plus of y square. I would be substituting y is equals to of mx. So here it becomes limit, the x square remains x square remains x square, and here it becomes m square and x square. And now you can see very well this function have got only one independent variable, and that's nothing but x, and now you can simply keep x tends to 0. X tends to 0. May I know exactly how much answer we are getting? How much answer we are getting? So easily you can find it out. The answer which we are getting, so simply is going to be limit x tends to 0. X square is common towards numerator as well as denominator. Definitely those common can be extracted out. So the factor which would be left out is simply going to be 1 divided by of 1 plus of m square. And now you do not have any component of x at which the x can be fed as 0. So simply the result is going to be 1 divided by of 1 plus of m square. What does it mean of it? What does it mean of it? Just wanted to ask from each one of you. The limit x comma y tends to 0 using a different straight line y is equals to mx. The magnitude was found to be 1 divided by 1 plus m square. What would be its conclusion? The function at 0 comma 0 limit does exist or does not exist? Does not exist. Why? Because if you will be changing the values of m, like if you have used the path y is equals to x where the value of m is 1, its magnitude is simply going to be 2. When we are using y is equals to of 2x, the value of m is 2. In that case, the magnitude is going to be 1 upon 5. Similarly, when we are using y is equals to 3x, y is equals to 3x, now the value becomes 1 upon 10. 1 upon 10. Yes, 1 upon 10. That means it is taking the different magnitudes while reaching 0 comma 0 with the help of different straight lines. That means one thing is quite self understood. F of xy limit does not exist. Limit does not exist. Does not exist at 0 comma 0. And if the limit does not exist, definitely it won't be continuous. It won't be continuous. The continuity would also not be true. Would also not be true. Yes, the limit does not exist, and at the same time you will not check about its continuity, because once in a while even the problem have come based on the concept of continuity also. Till this point nobody should have any doubt as such. Now let me take the second function. Let me change the color first. So here I would be testing the limit over the next function, which is nothing but g of xy. G of xy. What it is? It's a limit x tends to 0. X tends to 0. The function g is being defined as in vicinity of 0. That is nothing but 2xy square divided by of 3x square plus of y to the power of 4. Y to the power of 4. Now tell me, I am just giving next 30 seconds and tell me whether the limit do exist for this function or not. The limit do exist for this function or not, precisely at x is equals to 0 and y is equals to 0. Let me rub this out. So the limit goes towards 0 comma 0. Tell me whether the limit do exist or not. Tell me whether the limit do exist for this particular function or not. Again the same fundamental has to be used. My dear friends, may I know what was the fundamental which we have been using? You had to reach at 0 comma 0 with a different paths. And with the either of the path, if you are reaching to the same magnitude of the function, that means the limit does exist. What does that mean by the limit does exist? That means in surrounding with the 0 comma 0, everywhere the magnitude is very same. And everywhere in surrounding with the 0 comma 0, if the magnitude is very same, that means the limit do exist. Limit do exist. Tell me, what would be the best most answer for this? What would be the best most answer for this? Let me do the same process which we have been doing it. We have to reach at 0 comma 0. So obviously I can take a straight line path y is equals to of mx. My dear friends, nobody should have any doubt. If this point would have been 1 comma 2, then you cannot take the help of y is equals to mx, because y is equals to of mx crosses through origin only. That is why deliberately I have designed the problem in such the y is equals to mx would get fixed most of the time. And even the problem which have come probably 4 to 5 times, they have asked the problem related to or in order to this. Yes. So here it's gonna be limit. Instead the y mx has to be fed in. So here it becomes 2x mx to the power of 2. At denominator it's simply 3x square y to the power of 4, it becomes m to the power of 4, x to the power of 4, x to the power of 4. Yes, and here it is limit x comma y simply becomes limit x tends to 0, limit x tends to 0. Yes, yes, my dear friends. Yes, so what I would be doing, I would be taking the common factors of x. You can see very well, here it is the x cube, here it is x square, here it is x to the power of 4. So maximum power of x which can be retrieved from the numerator as well as denominator is nothing but the factor of x square. If the x square has been brought it out, so here it becomes simply 2x m square. Yes sir, obviously, no doubt. 2x m square, the x square is already brought out. Here it is 3, and here it is m to the power of 4 into of x square. Yes, and now I would be forcing the value of x to reach towards 0. And now one of the very important conclusion we are getting, as you fix the value of x as 0, the numerator becomes 0, and at denominator it is 3 plus 0, and that simply equals to 0. And that simply equals to 0. What does it mean of it? That means, sir, irrespective of the values of m, if you are changing the values of m, that means you are changing the path to reach 0, 0. The magnitude in vicinity of 0, 0 is fixed to 0. What does it mean of it? That means if we'll talk about the limit g x y, x comma y tends to 0, yes, limit do exist. Limit do exist. Do exist. Yes. Now let me discuss about the continuity also. Now if the limit do exist, it's a turn to find whether the function is continuous at 0, 0 or not. So you can see few of the important point in vicinity of, that means in nearby 0, 0, the magnitude of g comma xy is 0, yes, and even we have seen the magnitude of g precisely at 0, 0 has been given as 0. What does it mean of it? That means the worth of the function in vicinity of 0, 0 as well as precisely at 0, 0 is very same. That means the function would also be continuous. That means the function would also be continuous. Limit, yes, exists, sir. Limit do exist. And similarly, whether it's a continuous or not, yes. Yes, sir, it is continuous also. It is continuous also. So may I know what would be the best most answer? What would be the best most answer? Just a minute. What would be the best most answer? Tell me. Anyways, the slide have went out. Tell me what would be the best most answer. Just a minute. Tell me what would be the best most answer. Probably there is certain glitch over here. Anyways, we'll see how to fix it. Tell me what would be the best most answer over here. No, my dear friends, no. If you will take y is equals to of root over x, no. Did you understand or not? If you will take y is equals to of root of x, you cannot take a path where the x is negative. You cannot take the path x is negative. So deliberately, there is no other way. There is no other way. Just a minute. Yes. So tell me what is going to be the best most answer along with this problem. I want the input from each one of you. See, that is what I am saying. Whenever you have this sort of problem, no? Straight away do few of the analysis in your brain itself. Although I have taken around 15 to 20 seconds, 20 minutes just to solve the individual problem, but what must be your approach? Just try to understand in this way. See, the function f of x, y as well as g of xy is given to you. Now, once you will read this individual options, you will get to know they are asking about the continuity as well as the limit existence. Just stick to first question. And here it has been clearly given they are concerned about the limit existence as well as the continuity existence at 0, 0. Forget about the continuity, just focus over the limit. Until and unless the limit does not exist, you cannot proceed further for the continuity. So what I would be doing, see, what must be my focus? Sir, I need to go to 0, 0 from the different paths, and all of the paths must be reaching to the same magnitude of the function f. So what must be my approach? You can take y is equals to x. You can take, yes, y is equals to x square is possible. Y is equals to x cube is possible. Any of the student was asking, sir, why don't we take y is equals to root x? Do one thing. Y is equals to root x cannot be drawn for the negative value of x. It becomes an imaginary value. So rather taking x square, x cube, just stick to y is equals to mx. It remains a straight line, and where the m decides the slope of the curve. Yes. Yes. So what I am going to do over here, so far the two number of variables were getting attached with this function. Now as I am keeping y is equals to mx, by default it becomes a function which contains only one variable. So it becomes x square plus of m square, x square goes out, and here the function which has been left out is going to be 1 divided by 1 plus of m square. That's the first thing. Now y is equals to mx, you wanted to reach x is equals to 0 as well as y is equals to 0. In y is equals to mx, if you keep x is equals to 0, by default you are reaching at y is equals to 0. So simply it is a function 1 divided by of 1 plus of m square, limit x tends to 0. So you got to know the worth is simply 1 divided by of 1 plus m square. That means depending on the value of m, it is attaining its magnitude at x comma y is equals to 0, 0. That means obviously the limit does not exist for this function, and if the limit does not exist, you need not to worry about its continuity and all. Similarly, deliberately I have designed the second function such that any sort of ambiguity you guys are having, definitely you can rule out that ambiguity. Again, you had to reach at 0, 0 from the 2 points. The test point is clearly known to me. Again, you use y is equals to mx. Unnecessarily, you need not to take the higher orders like y is equals to x square, x cube. You can check that. There also you will be getting the same answer, but nobody should use like y is equals to root over x. Nobody should use y is equals to x to the power of 3 by 2, 1 by 2, 1 by 3. No. If you want y in continuity, I would give the proper reply why I cannot use those paths. If you want, I can give you the exact idea. Whatever the function you are using, no, that must be completely continuous. If you will be asking y is equals to of root over x, somebody was asking over here, y is equals to of root over x. So the function would look something like this, and which is nothing but y is equals to of root over x. And now you can see very well the function is not defined for the negative value of x. So always forget about the rational power of x. No, you should not use this. So one of the students was asking, so I am just replying with the proper answer. Yes. And now here what is happening over here? The y is gonna be mx. So here it becomes 2 into x into m square x square. So the worth of x which has been left out is x cube, and here it's simply x square, and here it is nothing but m to the power 4 x to the power of 4. And now once you will be taking x square common, you will get to know the component of x as well as m has been left out towards the numerator side, and once you will fix it, the value of x as 0, by default it becomes 0. That means the limit do exist irrespective of the value of m. The worth of the function is reaching to the same point. Agreed? So may I know what are the best most answer? F of xy, my dear friends, it's not at all a limit does exist at this point, so obviously it won't be continuous. That's the first thing. Now the g of xy is continuous, obviously sir, it is continuous. Next, the limit does not exist for f of xy, obviously sir, it does not exist. Next, only limit exists for g of xy, but it is not continuous. No, this is again a wrong statement. If this concept is clear, please write clear over the live chat, and then we shall move into the next question. I would be waiting for the next 30 seconds just to know whether the each and individual concepts are clear to all of us or not. Yes. So let me go into the next question. Okay, okay, okay. So you guys are telling me to go a little bit fast. Okay, we will go fast, no issue. So this is what my next question is. And this is a type of numerical answer type. That means you won't be having any options along with this problem. You have to just smash this problem out, and the output would be in form of data. So you have to find that data. You have to find that data. Tell me. Tell me, anyways, let me read this problem carefully. Let me stretch this problem a bit. Yes, what the problem states? The problem says a rectangular sheet of a metal of length 6 meter and width of 2 meter is given. 4 equal squares are removed from the corners. The side of these sheets are now turned up to form an open rectangular box. Find the approximately the height of the box in meters such that the volume of the box is maximum. Even few additional data are also being supplied along with this problem. My dear friends, it's a problem from the concept of maxima and minima, and I have seen once in a while they also give the problem related to the word problem, at least in concept of maxima and minima. So until and unless you are not able to decode this word problem into form of mathematical expression, probably you would not be able to solve this problem. And I have seen probably in each 3 years they used to give one problem where only words would be dictated along with this problem. From the word you had to extract the function, and from that function you had to analyze in terms of maxima as well as minima. Try to understand what this problem it's exactly stating. Tell me, what would be the best most answer? Anyways, let me give a brief idea what this problem is stating. Just try to understand in this way. We had a metallic sheet. The length has been clearly given, that's nothing but the 6, and similarly the width is also clearly given, which is nothing but 2. Now what we are willing with, we wanted to make a, you can see very well, we wanted to make a rectangular box. How the rectangular box will be made? See, I had to tear this part out. If you want, I can tear this out. Yes. And may I know, the tearing part must be rectangular or must be a square? Obviously it must be square, because in future I had to lift this portion up and I had to lift this portion up. Yes. And then only it will make a box. And obviously the height of the box from this side or this side has to be very same. So that can be ensured only by keeping this edge as x and this edge as x. And put together I can say, so whatever the edges has to be teared out, it has to be x only. And once we have teared out in a form of square, definitely this side would be flipped up, this side would be flipped up, this side would be flipped up, and this side would be flipped up. I wanted to know the value of x such that, in future you would be getting the maximum volume from this given structure after the height has been taken as x. Tell me what would be the best most answer? Tell me what would be the best most answer? Anyways, let me go into the next page. So could you figure out what I was doing? See, you had made a box, and you were concerned with its volume. May I know what would be its length, what would be its breadth, and what would be its height? You can see very well, first the length was 6, but now the edge of x was cut down from both of the sides. That means the length was simply equals to of 6 minus of x and x both of the side. That's nothing but the x minus 2x. Similarly, the same thing happens with its breadth. The breadth was 2 initially, now the x has been cut down, the breadth has been left out with the 2 minus of 2x. And now if we'll talk about the height of this box, obviously it's gonna be a cuboidal box, so the height is simply gonna be x, the edge which was cut down. cut down, and that's nothing but the x. That nothing but the x. I know most of the students are well acquainted with the concept of maxima and minima when the function itself is clearly visible or clearly given with this problem. And if the concept of the maxima and minima comes in the form of word problem, most of us used to stuck. That is why deliberately I have designed a problem where I have given each and individual data in a form of a word problem. You had to extract the function from the word problem, and then you had to smash this complete problem out. Complete problem out. No, my dear friends, it's not that straight. It's not that straight. Agreed? Till this point, nobody is in doubt. Now, what I am going to do over here, I am looking for the value of x, such that the value of Vx becomes maximum. Nobody should get confused. I am not looking for the maximum value of Vx. I am looking for the value of x at which the V of x must be maximum. Now, it becomes a concept of maxima and minima. And the focus of function would be V of x. So far we were taking f of x, g of x, h of x. Simply now we can take that as V of x. That is what the beautiful thing about the mathematics. My dear friends, whenever we deal with the any sort of the function, no, like the function f of x is being given, g of x is being given, we do not appreciate from where those functions have come out. You can see very well those functions have come out from any of the practical aspects of any of the practical problem. Yes, you can see very well. And now you are looking for the concept of maxima with this particular problem. Yes, so what I would be doing over here? So I would be applying the few number of steps, and the first step is to get the stationary point. Anyways, whenever you have this sort of problem, no, do one thing. All of the common factors you can just segregate and you can bring it out, just for having the better as well as simplified calculation in future. You can see very well the 2 can be taken common in the first bracket, the 2 can be taken common in the second bracket, so 2 2 ja 4. The 4 goes out, and here it's going to be simply 3 minus of x, and here it goes 1 minus of x, and here it goes simply x. Yes. And even if you want, you can change these factors in a form of polynomial just after multiplication. So here it goes 4 minus of 3x, the x gets multiplied with the 1, that is simply x, minus of x square, and here it goes 3x minus of x square plus of x cube. Just a minute. Yes, minus of x square, then here it goes minus of 3x square plus of x cube, Agreed? At next, simply all of the terms I would be arranging into the decreasing order. So simply it becomes x cube. Here it becomes minus of 4 x square, and here it goes 3 of x. Still the 4 is outside. Yes. Now what I would be doing, I would be searching the stationary points of the function V of x. So I would be searching a stationary point of the function V of x. How we would do that? I would just take the first derivative of the function V with respect to the x, and I would compare with 0. So let me do that. So the 4 remains outside as it is, and here it becomes 3x square minus of 8 of x plus of 3 is equals to 0. Anyways, with the help of middle term split or with the help of Seedha Chara rule, it will take hell amount of time. That is why one additional information was clearly given in your problem. That's nothing but the 3 times of a square minus of 8 times of a plus 3 is precisely equals to 0. And their roots are clearly given. What are their roots? The a1 was 2.21, a2 was 0.45. See, only the replacement of a has been made with x. That means this particular polynomial would also have the same roots. So here you can write the 2 number of roots you would be having. The first root would be at x1 0.45, you can write, because it is a lesser value, and similarly the x2 at 2.21. Yes, 2.1. I would go into the next step, and that's nothing but the third step, just to figure it out among the stationary point, which is maxima, which is minima, and which is saddle point. So what I would be doing, I would be taking the next derivative of the function, which is the double derivative of the function. Yes. So I need to take the double differentiation of this function. The 4 remains as it is. The 4 remains as it is. So the function which has been left out, where it is, here it is. It is simply going to be 6 of x minus of 8. Minus of 8. I would be feeding the two different datas. I would be feeding 0.45 at very beginning, and similarly I would be feeding 2.21 afterwards. Anyways, you can calculate by yourself, but once you will be feeding x is equals to of 0.45, you will be getting this value as negative, and once you will be feeding x is equals to 2.21, you would be getting this value as positive. This value is positive. That means at x is equals to 0.45, definitely there is a formation of maxima, and at 2.21 there is a formation of minima. Yes, here there is a maxima, here there is a minima. So you can do one thing. You can come to the fourth point. Tentatively, you can draw how the function would look like. So the function would look something like this. It has got only two distinct extremas. One is maxima, another is minima. The maxima was found at x is equals to of 0.45, and similarly the minima would found at x is equals to of 2.21. Yes, 2.21. Agreed to what I am saying? At least till this point nobody should have any doubt as such what I am saying. Now most of us could not figure it out one important fact. I know most of us could not figure it out, one of the very important aspect. As the function v of x is concerned, as the value of x is increasing, definitely the value of v of x would be continuously increasing. Then why we are sticking to the magnitude as 0.45? Why we are sticking to the magnitude as 0.45? That I wanted to ask from each one of you. Could you understand what I am saying? Many of us, what they are saying, sir, there is a maxima at x is equals to 0.45, and at the same time there is a minima at x is equals to 2.21. So obviously we had to take the height x is equals to 0.45. Who says if you'll go after x is equals to 2.21, the f of x is monotonically increasing? You can select any of the higher values of x, and their v of x would be larger. Their value of vx would be larger. Gurupal Chawra sir is there. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. The best teacher in your comment. I am very grateful to the great Gurupal Chawla sir. So here is going to be x is equals to of 0.45, and similarly x is equals to 2.21. My dear friends, whether you could understand or not, the edge which has been cut down, no? If you are increasing the edge which has been cut down, so definitely your length is getting shrinked, and similarly your width is also getting shrinked. So you can see very well the 6 minus of 2x, and similarly 2 minus of 2x cannot be lesser than 0. If 2 minus of 2x becomes lesser than 0, what does that mean of it? That means you wanted to cut a larger portion in compare with its width itself. So one thing is quite self-understandable. You had to find the maximum value of Vx. You had to find the maximum value of Vx within the range where what it is? 2 minus of 2x is greater than 0. So you got to know the x has to be lesser than 1. X has to be lesser than 1. Yes, x has to be less than 1. Now you can see very well, that means you will start from x is equals to 0, and the maxima has to be found till x is equals to 1. And now you can see very well the maxima at which the v of x will find its maximum value would come at 0.45. So basically you were not looking to find the value of x at which the v of x would be maximum. You were looking for finding the value of x for having v of x as maximum, provided the x is in between. You can see very well in between 0 to 1. And I was looking for the localized maxima. Yes. May I know till this point each and everything is clear or not? If it is clear, just write clear over the live chat, so at least I'll have the fair idea. Yes, sir. Each and everything is properly communicated. Yes. So you can expect this sort of word problem, which can be asked with the help of concept of maxima and minima. Although most of the people would not be able to derive even v of x or the function itself. And once they are done with the function, and if they are done with this graph, probably they may find difficulty at least at this reason. Sir, if the x is keep on increasing, definitely my volume is keep increasing, my dear friends. The allowed value of x is only 0 to 1. That means the maxima has to be searched in between 0 to 1, and that x is nothing but 0.45. So the best most answer which we are getting for this problem is going to be 0.45 meters. 0.45 meters. Yes. Just a minute. Sir, please repeat the last step. What I wanted to say, my dear friends. See, in first look, it looks like if the x is increasing, definitely f of x would be keep increasing. So why don't we take x is equals to plus infinity, my dear friends? If you'll focus over the v of x, exactly you'll get to know. Exactly you'll get to know. If you'll focus about the v of x, exactly you will get to know what it is. Exactly you'll get to know, my dear friends. 6 minus of 2x, 6 minus of 2x, how it looks like. Yes. Till this point, nobody should have any doubt now, at least. Yes, nobody should have any doubt now. Agreed? So we'll move into the next question. We'll move into the next question. Agreed? So now let me move into the next question. So here comes my next question. It's a very, very well designed problem. Go through this problem completely and try to smash this problem out. Try to smash this problem out. Let me see what the problem indicates. Let me see what the problem indicates. The problem says the value of surface integral, here it is a surface integral of f dot n ds c pi covers the sphere gamma given by x square plus y square plus z square is equals to 4, where the z is greater than 0, where f vector is equals to 4x I y cap minus of 4y j cap minus of 2k cap, and n denotes the outward unit normal. The value of c is, the value of c is. Tell me, just a minute, tell me what would be the best most answer. Tell me what would be the best most answer. Tell me, probably there is some electric issue, but anyways, you try to solve by yourself. Try to solve by yourself. Tell me what would be the best most answer. What would be the best most answer for this given problem? This given problem. It is a utterly important problem, and I know many of us would find this problem very difficult, until and unless you are not well comfortable with the each and individual concepts of the vector calculus. Probably you are going to stuck on this problem. You are going to stuck on this problem. Try by yourself. Try by yourself. Tell me what would be the best most answer for this given problem. What would be the best most answer for this given problem? Try by yourself. No, I just wanted to have the value of c, my dear friends. Along with c, the pi is already been attached. I am just looking for the value of c. I am just looking for the value of c. Tell me what would be the best most answer for the c, for the c. Tell me, there is certain electrical issue. Let me check what is that issue. What is going to be the best most answer? Tell me what's going to be the best most answer. So now the answers have started coming. The one answer is 32 divided by 3. The another one is 10 divided by 10.66, so on and so forth. Tell me what is the best most answer for this given problem? What is the best most answer for this given problem? Zero. Now another answer have come in form of 0. Let me try to smash this problem out. See what this problem says exactly. What this problem says exactly. Try to understand each and individual words, because somewhere you will get trapped. See, the value of the surface integral, and now you can see very well it's a sign of surface integral of f dot n ds. Obviously it's a differential surface and it's a normal over the given differential surface, is equals to of c pi. Cover the sphere. The region of surface theta is clearly being given, and that is nothing but x square plus y square plus z square is equals to 4 for z greater than 0 alone. Where f vector is equals to of 4xi minus of 4yj cap minus of 2k cap, and n denotes the outerward unit normal. The value of c is. Anyways, before smashing this problem out, I would ask from each one of you whether it's a problem of closed surface integral or whether it's a problem of open surface integral. Closed or open surface integral. I know many of us would have the doubt, at least at this point itself. Open surface integral. Open surface integral. At very beginning, I want this input from each one of you. No, my dear friends, it's not that straight. Whether we are dealing with a closed surface integral or whether we are dealing with the open surface integral, until and unless you are not well acquainted, at least on this point, you will not be able to move forward. Tell me. Open surface integral. Yes, few of the important feedbacks have started coming. We are dealing with the open surface integral. If you want how the open surface integral has been fabricated, I can do that. Anyways, you can see very well the x square plus y square plus z square is equals to 4. It's the equation of sphere, obviously. Yes, sir. X square plus y square plus of z square is equals to 4. It's the equation of sphere. Yes, sir. No issue. It's the equation of sphere. Till this point, nobody should have any problem. Now, if we'll talk about the character of this sphere, obviously, it is centered at origin. That's the first thing. It is centered at origin. Secondly, if we'll talk about its radius, the radius is equals to 2. Why? Because if we'll talk about the nature of the sphere, it used to be x minus a square plus y minus b square plus z minus c square is equals to of r square, where the a comma b comma c is the center of the given sphere, and similarly r is nothing but the radius of that given sphere. So obviously it's a sphere centered along the origin and having the radius is equals to 2. For the better understanding, what I have done, I have taken a 3D space. Yes. I have taken a 3D space. Let me do that. I have taken a 3D space. This is what my x-axis is. This is what my y-axis is. And this is what my z-axis is. Yes. This is what my x-axis. This is my y-axis, and this is my z-axis. Now, if we'll talk about this sphere, obviously it's gonna be a complete sphere. So, if you'll draw that complete sphere, so it would be sort of this. But the reason which you had to cover, no, that you had to cover just above z is equals to 0 plane. So what is happening over here? You had a complete sphere. The half of the part was above z is equals to 0 plane, half of the part was lower than the z is equals to 0 plane. But if you have made it sure that you had to just focus over the region of the sphere which is above z is equals to 0 plane, that means you are going to just focus over the hemisphere. Yes. So here it goes. Here it goes like this. Here it goes like this. It's a hemisphere. Yes. Now, in this problem, the ta has been clearly given, which is nothing but the x square plus y square plus z is equals to 4, and specifically for z greater than 0. That means you are just going to concern about this surface. Nobody should have any doubt. Many of us would have doubts, sir. Why don't we consider z is equals to 0 plane? No, my dear friends. If you'll talk about the sphere is a hollow structure. If you talk about the sphere, sphere is a hollow structure, and it has been clearly given that you had to just focus over the region when the z is greater than 0. Nobody should take the reference of z is equals to 0 plane. Sir, upside it's sphere and downside z is equals to 0 plane, and it is getting bounded from all of the side. No, nobody should get confused at least at this point. Nobody should get confused at least at this point. Yes. Now try by yourself. Agreed? It's the open surface integral. Yes. It is a open surface integral. Yes. We can, yes, it's the open surface integral. Now, next, what is happening over here? That means I need to take the open surface integral of my vector 4x I has been written as ax cap minus of 2 az cap, minus of 4 y ay cap minus of 2 az cap, yes, minus of 2 az cap, and here goes NDS. So now tell me, my dear friends, that means you had to take a differential surface. Obviously, sir, I need to take a differential surface. Where that differential surface has to be? This differential surface has to be over the annular region or curvy region of this hemisphere. And if we'll talk about the normal over the differential surface, obviously the normal over the differential surface would be in the direction of AR cap. Now, exactly if you wanted to write ds an cap, it's simply gonna be r square sine theta d phi an cap is nothing but the AR cap. Till this point, each one of us would agree on this. So here, if we'll talk about the open surface integral, I need to write this as minus 4y ay cap minus 2 az cap, and here it has to be r square sine theta d phi AR cap. Yes. But my dear friends, deliberately I have designed this problem because now you can see very well towards left hand side you are dealing with the Cartesian coordinate system, and towards right hand side you are dealing with the spherical coordinate system, and end of the day you would not be able to get any answer out of this approach. And yes, many of the students would have one doubt, sir, we are dealing with the closed surface integration. No, my dear friends, we are dealing with the open surface integration. So may I know which methodology I should use to get this answer? Because either the complete problem has to be in spherical coordinate system, either the complete problem has to be in spherical or the Cartesian coordinate system. Sir, can we find the gradient to find? And no. How the gradient can be used, my dear friends? Probably you had to brush up your concept in mathematics once again. The gradient cannot be used. Tell me, what would be my approach? My dear friends, what I would do, just try to understand in this way. Although it is a open surface integral, but for the time being, I would enclose even from the downside at z is equals to 0. And what I would do, at last you know, Now I would be taking the net flux coming out from any of the closed surface, and that can be easily calculated. The value would always be 0. Why? Because once you will be calculating the divergence of the given function, that is always 0. If you take the divergence, it's gonna be 4 minus of 4 minus 0. This simply becomes 0. That means what does it mean of it? That means if this complete spherical structure must have been closed even from the z is equals to 0, the net flux coming out would have been 0. Agreed what I am saying? Agreed what I am saying? I would repeat once again. Anyways, before that, let me copy this towards the next page. So let me go into the next page. What I wanted to communicate over here, if you'll recall your function, the vector function is f vector is equals to of 4x ax cap minus of 4y ay cap minus of 2 az cap. If you will take its divergence, may I know what would be the worth of its divergence? The 4x has to get differentiated with the x, that's simply 4. 4y has to get differentiated with y, that's simply 4. And similarly, minus 2 has to get differentiated with z, that's simply 0. Put together, the answer is simply going to 0. And anyways, any of the vector function, if it is found to be divergence free, what does that mean of it? That means any of the closed surface, any means any closed surface, it could be a rectangular closed surface, it could be a spherical closed surface, would always make its closed surface integration as 0. So one thing is quite sure, my dear friends, although it is an open surface integral, but if you will close it down from the downside, the net flux coming out from the closed surface would simply be 0. So what's the advantage we are getting by this formula? That means, try to understand this way. That means whatever the flux might be coming inside from the bottom, the same flux has to leave from the outside or the top side, or whatever the flux might be coming from the top side, the same flux has to get left out from the bottom side. Yes, no? Yes? Where it is? What does it mean of it? The closed surface integral of f dot ds is equals to 0 indicates the net flux coming out from the closed surface would always be 0, any type of the closed surface you are being dealing with. So I would be taking the help of this outcome and I would apply over this problem. What is the methodology I would be using? What I would be doing, see, try to understand this way. I can just focus over the flux exchange because of a circular plate which has been kept over the z is equals to 0. Yes, and if that flux is coming in, the same flux has to leave out, and if that flux is leaving out, the same flux has to leave in from the above surface. Agreed what I am saying? Agreed? So what I would be doing at next, so you can say the closed surface integral f dot ds is equals to 0 can be bifurcated into two parts. The open surface integral f dot ds at bottom, and similarly the open surface integral of f dot ds at spherical region. Yes, and together it has to be 0. Yes. Anyways, the calculation of this one was needed in this problem, but I could not do this calculation. But yes, I would be able to do this calculation. And once you are done with this calculation, definitely you would be getting this answer as the addition between this and this is simply going to be 0. This and this is simply going to be 0. Yes. So just focus over this one. Anyways, if we'll talk about the bottom region of sphere, it is being placed at z is equals to of 0 plane. If we'll talk about its area, what about the area which has been occupied by this? It's simply going to be pi r square. What was the radius r? The radius r was 2, so simply it's going to be 4 pi. Yes, the r has been kept as 2, simply it becomes 4 pi. So why don't we focus over the open surface integral of f dot ds over the bottom. So anyways, let me calculate this. So simply it becomes open surface integral of f dot ds. What was the f over here? The f was 4x ax cap, and here it was minus 4y ay cap, and here it was minus 2 az cap, minus 2 az cap, and it was getting dot multiplied over the differential surface which has been drawn over the bottom plate. So obviously towards the outside it would be towards the minus az cap. Obviously, no, see, it's a circular plate, so obviously everywhere the normal would be towards the minus az cap. And may I know what would be the change in x and y? Obviously it would be on dx dy plane. It would be on dx dy plane. So simply, rather writing dx dy, simply you can write ds, and the direction would be in the direction of minus az cap, minus az cap. Yes, yes. If I'll take the dot multiplication between them, it's a simply minus of az cap. So obviously this goes off, this goes off. So the factor which would be left out is simply gonna be, it's a minus az cap, no? It would be simply, would be equals to of, it's gonna be open surface integral. So the component which would be left out is simply gonna be, just try to understand what it is. It's a minus 2 would come outside. Minus 2 would come outside. Even the minus and minus would become plus. And here the factor which would be left out is simply gonna be ds. Yes, may I know how much area has been occupied by this? How much area has been occupied by this? It's simply gonna be pi into r square, that is nothing but 4. So it's gonna be 8 pi. It's gonna be 8 pi. You can see very well. It's gonna be 8 pi. It's gonna be 8 pi. So what would be the worth of this value? It's simply gonna be minus of 8 pi. It's simply gonna be minus of 8 pi. Yes, it's simply gonna be minus of 8 pi. So the best most answer which we are getting, at least for this problem, is simply gonna be c is, pi is already there. You have to just feed the value of c, which is equals to of minus 8, minus 8. How many of us could get this answer as the correct answer? How many of us could get this correct answer? Tell me. I want the comment over the live chat. I want the comment over the live chat. Could you agree what I am saying? Just let me briefly discuss about this complete concept. If you will talk about the open surface integral of x square, the 4x I cap minus of 4y j cap minus of 2k cap over open surface of x square plus y square plus z square is equals to 4, you will get to know. You will get to know one of the very important conclusion, and what it is. Once you are taking the open surface integral, you have been dealing with the Cartesian as well as the spherical coordinate system. Many of us would also find one difficulty. Many of us would find that, sir, we are dealing with the closed surface integral, and what they would do, they would take the divergence of this function, and as the divergence of this function becomes 0, you will say the any of the closed surface integral of this function would always be 0. No, my dear friends, that's the first thing. Secondly, then what would be your next approach? My approach would be, although it is an open surface integral, but deliberately I have taken this as a closed surface integral, and I have taken the next open surface in such that it is being taken over the z is equals to 0 plane. And z is equals to 0 plane, if you will take the normal over the z is equals to 0 plane, the normal over the z is equals to 0 plane would be az cap, and dealing with that integration would be much easy. Now anyways, what I did, I took its divergence. After taking the divergence, I got to know that net flux coming out from any closed surface would always be 0. That means the linear sum of this factor as well as this factor only. The complete closed surface could have been distributed into two parts. The first is nothing but the bottom one, and the next is nothing but the spherical one. So their addition would be 0. I wanted to find this value, but I could not find this value. So why don't we focus on this? Why don't we focus on this? And after getting this value, shifting this value towards the right hand side, you will get the value of this integration. You will get the integration. No, it's not, my dear friends. My dear friends, what I am saying, how much time it would take? How much time it would take? Now one person is asking, sir, what would be its shortcut method? My dear friends, there is no shortcut method for this problem. Just try to understand this way. Okay, just focus on this problem. Sir, if we discuss about the an cap over a spherical structure, it's gonna be in the direction of ar cap, and the datas of the vector which has been given along with this problem, these are the datas of the Cartesian coordinate system. I am finding difficulty. So do one thing, just close it down. Yes sir, we have closed it down. What's the advantage we will be getting? We will be getting now a circular plate whose normal is towards the az cap. I used to take always out, so it's gonna be minus az cap. minus Az cap. Now the minus Az cap can be easily dealt with this Cartesian coordinate system. Deliberately I have designed the f vector in such that, deliberately I have designed, my dear friends, I have put a lot of effort to design this problem. Deliberately I have designed the f vector in such that it is divergence free. That means the net flux coming out from this particular closed surface would always be 0. So just focus over the interaction of the flux from the bottom side. The same flux has to be gate connected with the top side. Yes. Yes. Now I wanted to ask one thing. What it is, I got this value as 8 pi. What does it mean by the 8 pi? What does it mean by the 8 pi? That means the 8 pi flux was coming out. 8 pi flux was coming out from the bottom. And just to keep the net flux coming out from the closed surface 0, the 8 pi has to come in. 8 pi has to come in. As it is being leaved, I have taken this as a 8 pi, and as it has been coming in, I had to take this as minus 8 pi, because the unit normal has been taken outside from the surface. Either it's a bottom surface, either it's an annular surface. Tell me how well designed problem it was. I have taken hell amount of time to design this problem. I know many of us would find this problem very difficult. Anyways, while taking the problem, I forgot to take the question number 3. So it's turn to take the question number 3. So here goes your question number 3. Where it is? Yes, here it is. Once this problem have come in gate, but deliberately I have taken this problem because this is the problem where again the student would do silly mistake. Yes. Let me read this problem. If the integration of mod of x sin x dx is from 0 to 2 pi is equals to of k pi, then the value of k is equals to, it's a type of NAT. You had to solve this problem by yourself and you had to get the exact value of k. Tell me what would be the best most answer. Tell me. Let me see your comments. Find the best most answer for this given problem. Let me see your comments. Find the best most answer for this given problem. I am giving around 2 minutes for this particular problem. Tell me what would be the best most answer for this given problem. Tell me. What would be the best most answer for this given problem? Take your time, do not do any silly mistake, and yes, the function has been involving the mod, so you had to be cautious at least at this moment of function. Otherwise, deliberately you will do mistake over here. No, my dear friends, 0 is not the correct answer. Tell me, what would be the best most worth of k? And I know many of us would do mistake at this point. I know. That is why deliberately I have selected this problem. My dear friends, only one answer is more than adequate. Need not to write so many number of times. This is not the correct way. My dear friends, this is not the correct way. Unnecessarily you are putting the same answer again and again. Unnecessarily you will get blocked. That's not the correct way. If you know the answer, just write the answer once. So at least I'll have the fair idea. What about your approach? Till which particular point you guys have reached to this problem? Tell me. What would be the best most answer for this particular problem? See, whenever you are dealing with the integration, which includes the determinant, I would suggest to each one of you, at least try to figure it out, how lump sum the given function would look like. Until and unless you do not have lump sum idea about the function, how it look like over the 2D plane, probably you guys going to do mistake over this sort of problem. See what I am going to do over here. Just try to understand in this way. Solution. My basic focus would be over this function alone, and that is nothing but mod of x sin of x. Anyways, as I was discussing over the my crash course, whenever you had to deal with any of the modulus function, forget about the modulus function, just focus over the pure function, and end of the day you can take the modulus. Yes, see what is happening over here. So I have taken a xy plane. Here goes my x-axis, and here comes my y-axis. And one thing is quite clear: the x sine x is the involvement of the two different functions. The first function is a straight line crossing through origin, and the another function is oscillating signal, which is nothing but the sine of x. Whenever you deal with this sort of problem, keep in mind, this portion becomes the envelope of your sinusoidal function or oscillating function. Anyways, I am not going into the detailed part of it, why it becomes the envelope of that. Like if it could be e to the power of minus x, e to the power of minus x would become the envelope of sine of x. Keep in mind, for the x greater than 0, the x can't be negative. X would always be positive. But sine of x can be positive and negative depending on the values of x. If it is in between 0 to pi, it's going to be positive. Put together, it's going to be positive. In between pi to 2 pi, the x is already positive, but the sine of x is negative. It would become negative. Yes. So what is happening over here? You had to take a envelope of what? X, and the envelope would come towards the upside as well as downside. Many of us would have the difficulty. Why, sir? The y is equals to x. It's a straight line which is having a slope as positive. No, my dear friends, once it gets multiplied with a negative sign, obviously the slope comes down. The minus 2 would become plus 2 would become minus 2, and alternatively it would be keep moving. Anyways, we start with the x is equals to 0. At x is equals to 0, both are 0. And now as the x is increasing till pi, their multiplication would be positive till pi. And pi to 2 pi, it would become negative, and it would be keep increasing. Obviously, it will always take the reference of this. Yes. And this is the curve of x sine x. Yes. But we are not focused over the x sine x. We are focused over the mod of x sine x. What does it mean by the mod of x sine x? That means the worth of mod x sine x cannot be negative. Although x sine x can be negative, but once we take its mod, definitely even the negative value would become positive. You can see very well. As we have been telling, this graph is nothing but the x sine x. If you take its mod, my dear friends, will you have any change over this portion till 0 to pi? No, my dear friends, there would not be any change. Why? Because already x sine x is being kept towards the upside of y-axis. That means it's already positive. But if you talk about pi to 2 pi, the worth of x sine x is negative, and once you take its modular, definitely the value has to become positive. That means this complete curve has to get shifted out towards upside. So put together, if we'll talk about the net curve, it would remain as it is, but here this curve has to get shifted towards upside. Anyways, if we'll talk about the mod of x sine x, so obviously the curve would be sort of this. All of the negative edged curve would get shifted towards the upside. Yes. Now tell me, okay sir, till this point no problem as such, but why you are telling this all? What's the impact we are having over the integration, my dear friends? The huge impact we are having. May I know what? From 0 to pi, the mod of x sine x was same as x sine x. But from pi to 2 pi, this complete lobe got shifted, taking the reference of x-axis, and whenever there is a shifting or whenever there is a reflection taking the reference of x-axis, there used to be the multiplication of x. So if you really want to know how the x sine x would behave within the range of 0 to 2 pi, unnecessarily I need not to go beyond 2 pi. So x sine x is simply going to be x sine x till x is 0 to pi, and it becomes minus of x sine x when x is in between pi to 2 pi. Agreed? Know what I am saying? Even if you'll go into the next period, from 2 pi to 3 pi, mod of x sin x is very same as x sin x, but from 3 pi to the 4 pi, the mod of x sin x is very same as minus x sin x, minus x sin x. Yes. So if you had to take its integration, no, in one go you cannot take its complete integration. Now you had to follow the integration by parts. Why? Because the function and the nature of the function is changing in between to 0 to 2 pi. So first integration has to be taken place of x sin x from 0 to pi, and similarly the second integration has to be taken place from pi to 2 pi, but the function would become minus x times of sin x, minus x times of sin x. Agreed? Agreed? Anyways, before going into the detailed analysis, tell me the answer would be positive or negative? Positive or negative? Many of the students are giving the answers as negative. My dear friends, the answer cannot be negative. Why? Because both of the lobes has been made above the x-axis. That means the integration, if it is being taken from the left hand side to right hand side, you cannot get the answer as negative. Many of us are giving the answer as negative, which is not at all correct. Which is not at all correct. And one more important thing, the area or the integration from 0 to pi and the integration from pi to 2 pi, would it be additive? Would it be subtractive? It would be additive, my dear friends. Why? Because this has been framed towards upside, this has been framed towards upside. So area between 0 to pi and the area between pi to pi, 2 pi has to get added, Anyways, what I would be doing, I would be taking the integration from 0 to pi, and here it's gonna be sin x along with the x dx, agreed? And here I would take plus integration of pi to 2 pi, and here I would be taking minus of x sin x dx. Now I would like to ask whether there would be additive or subtractive, my dear friends. Although it is looking minus, but once you'll integrate it, no, the value would become negative, the negative would become positive. It has to be positive. Why? This area would become positive because the lobe has been made towards upside. This area has to be positive as the lobe is coming towards upside. Anyways, what you do? You just do the integration by parts. So integration by parts, just focus over the x sin x dx, that's it. I am not focusing over the any sort of interval. So what we do? I can take the first function and the second function. So anyways, so x has been taken as it is. The integration of sin of x, that simply equals to of minus of cos x, Then here goes integration again. The integration of sin of x, that is nothing but the minus of cos of x. The minus goes out and here it becomes cos of x. And the differentiation of x, that's simply 1. So here you would be getting minus of x cos of x plus of cos of x, Yes. Anyways, this data has to be fed over here. Anyways, let me copy this out. Let me copy this out to the next working board. Tell me how much answer we are getting. So here it goes minus x cos x from 0 to pi, so on and so forth. Just try to get the answer. Just a minute. Any mistake I have done over here? The sine becomes cos, the cos would become again sine, no? Here one mistake has been done. Here it is sine of x. Yes. Here it becomes sine of x. And here it becomes plus, and if you want you can write minus also. This minus sign can be brought it out, and here the integration of x sin x, it's same. It's nothing but minus x cos of x plus of sine of x, and here it goes from pi to 2 pi, Yes, no? Now start feeding the data. Anyways, you need not to focus over this 0, just focus over the pi, because 0 goes to x, anyways nothing happens, it goes with x becomes 0, it becomes 0. So simply focus over the pi. So here it becomes minus of pi cos of pi minus. Here the 2 pi and the x has to be fed in. Anyways, once you will be doing the calculation, you will get to know, probably here I am getting the answer as pi, and here I am getting the answer as minus 3 pi, and once we'll add them together, the answer is simply going to be 4 pi. In answer, the pi is already been attached with this problem, so the value of C is precisely 4. The value of C is precisely 4. So they were asking the value of C or K, that is simply equals to 4. That is simply equals to 4. Yes, this was the question number 3. Yes, tell me each and everything is clear or not. If you want any sort of doubt, and if you guys are having any sort of doubt, you can ask over here, so at least I can repeat that doubt once again. Such a beautiful design problem it was, and you can see very well, that is what I wanted to say. This worth has to be positive. Negative was already there, the negative and negative became positive, and you can see it's a 3 pi. And one more important thing, this area is larger than this area, and that is why this factor came as 3 pi and this factor has came as pi. That's a 3 times greater than the value of pi. Once we add them together, the answer have got to be 4 pi. Answer has been got to be 4 pi. Yes, if it is clear, just write clear. So let me have the better understanding how far you are able to understand the each and individual concepts. Yes. Let me focus on the next question. Yes. So already the 4 number of problem we have taken. The first problem was based on the concept of continuity, discontinuity. The second problem was based on the concept of maxima and minima. The fourth problem I have taken in terms of third, which was based on the concept of divergence. The third question was based on the concept of integration. Yes. So let me move ahead into the next question. Here goes your next question. Where it is? Here it is. And again, it is a well-designed problem based on the concept of vector calculus. And it's a type of MSQ. So try to read problem carefully, because this problem may contain more than one answer. Let me read the problem word by word, and then we'll try to decode this problem out. A vector field f vector is equals to 6x square I cap plus of 6y j cap plus of k cap, and the value of line integration f dot dr evaluated over a contour C. That means we are dealing with the two different concepts. First, this is what your given field, which is obviously vector field, and now we have been dealing with its line integration. The C stands for, just a minute, this C stands for contour or line integration. Yes, no? Sometime many of the books it writes as L, and few of the books it's been written as C. So we are focusing over the contour integration. Then which is our statements are true? So tell me which is our statements are true. First, f vector is a curl free vector. F vector is a divergence free vector. See, contour C formed by the segment 1, 1, 1 to 2, minus 3, 2, 2, 6, 2, 2, 0, 0, 0 has integral value is equals to of minus 6. The contour C formed by the segment minus 3, minus 3, 2, 2, minus 3, 2, 2, 6, 2, minus 3, minus 3, 2 has the integral value as 0. Tell me out of the 4 given options, which is or which are the appropriate answers. Tell me which is or which are the appropriate answers. No, my dear friends, the Gurupal sir is with us. I am with the GATE Academy. No, my dear friends, need not worry about the Gurupal sir and all. Yes, the Gurupal sir is the core pillar of the GATE Academy, and he is with us. So need not to have the comment as well as the discussion over the live chat. Just focus over the problem and try to smash this problem out. Yes. I do not know why they do deliberately. Probably the person who is coming over there might be the copy of or the face copy of the Gurupal sir, and deliberately they might have been done it. But anyways, the Gurupal sir is with us, need not to worry about the Gurupal sir. Just focus over this problem. Just focus over this problem. Tell me what would be the best most answer? What would be the best most answer? What would be the best most answer? B and D. B and D. What about C? What about C? What about C? When lead, lag, compensator and PID will become EE. Not now, my dear friends. We are just focusing over the end of the preparation. So obviously we would be focusing over the top 10 questions, marathon and all. So obviously you cannot expect, at least at this period of time, till the gate examination. Till the gate examination. Tell me what would be the best most answer? What would be the best most answer? Now the answers have started coming. The answers have been A and D most of the time, and few of the answers have also come in the terms of A, C as well as D. A, C as well as D. I tried to consolidate the concept of divergence free vector as well as curl free vector within the same problem. Although this problem may take a good amount of time, but still the same problem contains a huge amount of information, and which again has been designed by me. So definitely once you are thorough with this problem, you will learn so many number of good informations. Anyways, at very beginning, if you will look into the each and individual options, see, the reading of the each and individual options are also very important. Until and unless you do not know the goal at which you had to reach, so obviously you will not take the exact or the proper path. At very beginning, I had to focus over the curl of the vector. Obviously, which vector we have been dealing with? Which we have been dealing with, the vector is nothing but the 6x square I plus 6y j cap plus of k cap. Just wanted to know whether it's a curl free vector or not. That's the first thing. Secondly, I wanted to know whether it's a divergence free vector or not. Let me start with the solution. I need to take the curl of the given vector quantity, and once we'll take its curl, it's simply gonna be null vector. How did I know about it? My dear friends, if along with I or along with the ax cap, if you have got a function of only x, along with the j cap, along with the ay cap, if you have got the function of y, and similarly along with the k cap, if you have got a function of only and only z or the constant, here also constant, put together, the result would always be curl free in nature. Why? You can see by yourself. And many of the times the problem do come in that domain, so you need not to go for the calculation of curl again and again. Here comes dou y of dou x, here comes dou y of dou y, here comes dou y of dou z, and here would come the component of f towards the direction of x, that simply equals to of 6x square, and here comes 6y, and here comes just 1. I need not to calculate this value completely. I know many of us would spend this problem or will spend the time unnecessarily over this calculation. My dear friends, see. The 6x square will never get chance to get differentiated with dou of dou x. Yes. Either it would get differentiated with y, either it would get differentiated with z. So whenever the differentiation takes place with the y as well as z, this value becomes 0. Similarly, the 6y will never get the situation or the chance to get differentiated with the dou of y, because either there would be a cross multiplication from this side or this side. So again, whatever the differentiation takes place with 6 of y, obviously it would become 0. And now again, if you take 1, if you take the differentiation, obviously it would take only and only differentiation with respect to the x as well as y. Being a constant, it would be simply 0. So either if all of the datas are constant, either all of the datas along with I cap, j cap and k cap are the functions of x, y and z alone, obviously that vector would be a curl free vector. I know many of us would have calculated each and individual steps just to know whether it's curl free vector or not. My dear friends, not required. It's a simply curl free vector. So obviously A is a curl free vector? Yes. Anyways, the curl free vector has been named by the different name. What are they? It's also called curl free vector. It's also called conservative vector. It's also called path independent vector. And path independency is a very, very important character which I have used in this problem. Anyways, rather giving f is a curl free vector, they could have also given the f vector is a conservative field or f vector is a path independent field. In all of three cases, definitely A would have been the correct answer. That's the first thing. So I was going behind the option A. Now it's the time to go behind the option B. Here I need to discuss about the divergence of the given vector. Yes. So here we are discussing about del of f. So what is happening over here? The component of Ax cap has to get differentiated with x. That's just simply 12 of x. And similarly it becomes plus of 6. And similarly here it becomes 0. So obviously it's non-zero value. That's a different story together. At a specific value of x, like at x is equals to minus 1 by 2, it becomes 0. But in general, this field is not a divergence free field. Yes. Anyways, whenever you have del dot f as 0, like if you have a situation, if this factor 6x square is the function of y and z alone, this is the function of x and z alone, this is the function of x and y alone, so differentiation with respect to the x would become 0, and 0, the answer would be 0. Or if they all are constant, in that case also the divergence would become 0. And once the divergence becomes 0, in that case the field vector f vector would be said as divergence free vector. Agreed what I am saying? Anyways, in that case the f vector is called solenoid vector, because the different name has been given with the same vector, solenoid vector. Similarly, it is also said to be divergence free vector. Sometimes it is also called neither sourcing nor sinking vector. North sinking vector. Yes, no? So obviously the f is a divergence free vector. No, my dear friends, it's not. Now anyways, before going into the option C, why don't we jump it to the option D? Probably you could not have figured it out. This is a line integration. The different number of segments I have used. How many number of segments? I have started from -3 to -3, 2 and went till this point, and from here I went till this point, from here I went till this point. I don't know how far you could figure it out, but you have started from the same point and you could reach to the same point. That means although I have given in terms of segments, but put together you start from the same point and you end at to the same point. It's a type of closed line integral. So anyways, if I focus over the option D, simply I can write it's a closed line integral of the vector f dot dl. And now if you will use the Stokes theorem, it would be simply equals to of open surface integral of del cross f. Anyways, the open surface integral at which the calculation has to be made, I am not going into that great detail. So simply it becomes del cross f dot of dsa n cap, and you can see very well, as it was a curl free vector, simply it would become 0. This would become 0. It's a null vector. Null vector gets dot producted with dsa n cap, so the result would be 0. It would not be a vector quantity, it would be just a scalar quantity. Why? Because here the dot product has been taken out. So if you'll say whether the option D is correct or not, yes sir, the option D is correct. So A is correct, D is correct. Now I had to focus over the option C, and I know many of us would stuck over this point alone. Many of us would feel, sir, you had to start from 1, 1, 1 to 2, minus 3, 2. Then we had to go to this point, taking the next segment. Then we had to go to this point, taking the next segment. And we had to add the line integration of the each and individual segments. No, my dear friends, it's not required. Why? Because the line integration has been taken for the vector f vector, and the f vector is a curl free vector which is also said to be path independent vector. So rather going from here to here, here to here, here to here, you can straight jump it to the 1, 1, 1 to 0, 0, 0. That's the first thing. That's the first thing. Now the second thing comes in mind. Sir, 1, 1, 1. I'll reach to 0, 0, 0. There could be the infinite different path through which I can reach from 1, 1, 1 to 0, 0, 0. I can reach using a straight line. I can use a parabolic path, hyperbolic path. There are infinite number of paths I can choose. Sir, here nothing has been given. My dear friends, it's not required. Again, I am saying the f vector is a path independent vector. That means either you take a straight line, either you take hyperbola, either you take parabola. In all of the different cases, you will be getting the same answer. If you don't believe, you do by yourself. You take the line integration from here to here, here to here, here to here, add them together, you will get to know you will be getting the same answer once you jump from 1, 1, 1 and straight away go to the 0, 0, 0. Yes, and that's true only and only if the f vector is a curl free vector. Curl free vector. Yes? Yes, no? At least till this point, I must have the clear-cut understanding. So what I would be doing, I would be going into the next point. So straight away, I would be taking the line integration, which starts from 0, 0, 0, not 0, 0, 0, no. It starts from 1, 1, 1. If any mistakes takes place even in limits, the answer would come in negative form. So I need to go to the 0, 0, 0. What was the f vector? The f vector was 6x square ax cap plus of 6y a y cap, and here it goes plus of a z cap, and the dot multiplication has to be taken place with the differential displacement. Obviously, if we talk about the differential displacement in the Cartesian coordinate system, what would be their worth? It's going to be simply dx ax cap, it's going to be dy ay cap, and it's going to be dz az cap. Yes, dz az cap. Yes. So here, once the multiplication takes place, the ax cap gets multiplied with the ax cap, becomes 1, with ay cap and az cap vanishes as they are being orthogonal. So here is going to be 6x square comes with dx, 6y comes along with dy, and similarly the 1 comes along with dz. 1 comes along with the dz az cap, the dot multiplication with the dz az cap. Yes. And again we need to start from 1, 1, 1. That means the x has to start from 1, has to end at 0. The y has to start from 1, end at 0, and similarly z has to start from 1 and has to end towards 0. Anyways, probably you are well acquainted how to go ahead. We had to take the method of parameterization. And here the contour has not been given along with this problem. I would take straight line, and yes, any of the path I take, the answer would be very same as the vector, the field vector is the path independent vector. And yes, if f vector is not path independent vector, if you take a straight line, if you take a parabola, if you take a hyperbola, all of them would give the different answers. Yes. So here what I am going to do over here, I have taken the two different points. I had to start from 1, 1, 1 and has to reach towards 0, 0, 0. I had to derive the parametric form of the equation. What does it mean of it? That means the x has to become a function of t, even y has to become a function of t, and even the z has to become a function of t. The basic reasoning behind the parametric equation, I do not have much time to tell the each and individual concepts behind it, but yes, whenever we deal with the line integration, we had to have the parametric variables and we had to do the method of parameterization. That means rather changing the x, y and z separately, with the help of t, I would be changing my x, y and z, and they would start from 1, 1, 1 and they would reach to the 0, 0, 0. And now here also many of us would do mistake and unnecessarily will make this problem complex. What we used to have habit, see, we used to have habit like x minus of x1, x minus of x1, so here it's gonna be, and then we'll be keeping x2 minus of x1, that would be minus 1. And here y minus of y1, y minus of y1, and that is nothing but again. And I would be taking a parametric variable as t or t dash, whatever you want. But unnecessarily you are making x, y and z very complex. If you take this as t, what would be the worth of x? X would be minus t plus 1, y would be minus t plus 1, z would be minus t plus 1. Unnecessarily you are making this problem complex. What I would suggest, take this as x1, y1, z1 and take this as x2, y2, z2. Many of us would say, sir, how can you do that? I can. But have one thing in your mind that yes, sir, you are moving from x2, y2, z2 towards x1, y1, z1. What's the advantage you will get? Now, the utterly important advantage we get, and that is nothing but the x minus of x1, that's simply 0, divided by of x2 minus of x1, that's simply 1, is equals to of y divided by of 1, z divided by of 1, and simply I can compare with t now. I know many of us would get stuck over this point also. So simply the x becomes t, y becomes t. Even we are interested finding their differential values, because in this equation the dx is also contained. So here it becomes dt and here it becomes dz is equals to of dt. Yes. So let me do one thing. I had to feed each and individual data. Instead the x, definitely t has to be fed in. So here it becomes 6t square. Here it becomes 6 of t and here it becomes 1, and obviously dx, dy, dz, they all are just dt. Yes. And now as you had to start from 1, 1 and had to go to 0, 0, 0. So you can easily see where it is. Yes. You can easily see you had to start from, yes. So the parametric form of x, y and z was clearly known to me, and that is nothing but t, t. We had to start from 1, 1. So the worth of the t which has to be fed in is simply 1, and we had to reach to 0, 0, 0. So the value of t which has to be fed in is simply 0. So here it's gonna be t starts from 1 and t goes to 0. Yes. And anyways, the answer which you had to get, tell me how much answer we are getting for this integration. Otherwise I had to do it by myself. The limit must be clear to all of us. If any mistake takes place in limit, definitely you won't get the proper answer. So here it becomes 6 of x square, then it becomes 6 of x, and then it becomes 1. So here the answer precisely which we are getting, it's minus 6. So yes, the minus sign was also there. Probably you guys could see or not. Yes. So the C is also the correct answer. If the student who could not see this minus sign, so anyways, I apologize for that. But yes, the answer is gonna be precisely minus 6. Nobody should say 6. Yes. It is a curl free vector. Obviously, sir, it's a curl free vector. Now, the contour C formed, yes, sir, C is also correct. And now, the closed line integration would be simply 0. Probably this must be clear to all of us. Yes. This was my fifth question. Yes. So, let me move forward into the next page. Now, it's a time to take the sixth question. Yes. Where it is? Sixth question goes like this. And now it's a problem from Bayes theorem. The student who are well acquainted with the Bayes theorem, easily they would be able to smash this problem out. Although it might be looking a very thick and long problem, but once you read this problem, you will get to know each and individual data are clearly given. That is why this problem is so bulky. Anyways, start reading the problem one by one. What the problem states? Consider the Guwahati G and Delhi D, whose temperature can be classified as high, capital H, medium, capital M, and low, capital L. Let P within the bracket H suffix G H stands for high, G stands for Guwahati, denotes the probability that the Guwahati has high temperature. Similarly, P, probability, M is medium, suffix G indicates the probability that the temperature of the Guwahati is medium, and P, probability, L, low of Guwahati denotes the probability of Guwahati having a medium, low temperature respectively. Similarly, we use this. P of H of D, P of M of D, P of L of D. H always stands for high, medium and low of the temperature. D in suffix always refers the given temperature has been calculated in Delhi, and whenever you have a suffix of G, that means the temperature calculation has been made over the Guwahati. Yes. The following table gives the conditional probability for Delhi temperature given Guwahati temperature. Yes. This list has been given. Now many of us would have one doubt, sir. What does that actually mean of it? Anyways, those data are clearly given along with this proper wordings. What it states. Consider the first row in the table above. The first entry denotes if the Guwahati has temperature H of G. I repeat, if the Guwahati has temperature H of G, then the probability of Delhi also having the temperature H of D. You can see it's the intersection of H of G, H of D, but you should not say it's the probability of H of G intersection H of D. It has been clearly given. The first entry denotes the Guwahati has high temperature. That means it is a type of conditional probability. Already I know the temperature in Guwahati is high. Then I am calculating the probability for Delhi to be at high temperature. That means we are focusing over the probability at H of D or probability of H of D when H of G is already occurred. Yes. Similarly, next two entries, P of M of D when the H of G is already been occurred, and now you can see easily they have given in terms of mathematical formulation. So now you guys would not have any doubt as such, but probably they should have not given in this form. So at least until and unless the student are not very well acquainted with the conditional probability, they may not be able to decode this problem. Similarly, for the other rows, if it is known that P of Hg probability that the temperature is high in Guwahati is 0.2, medium 0.5, low 0.3, then the probability correct to the 2 decimal place that the Guwahati has high temperature given that the Delhi has high temperature is. Tell me what is gonna be the best most answer? What would be the best most answer? Many of us would find, sir, it's the intersection of Hg and Hd. No, my dear friends, it's a conditional probabilities. Now, if we'll focus at the very beginning, what the 0.4 indicates? It indicates the probability of temperature to be high at Delhi when raw data is already been occurred. Raw data is nothing but the temperature to be high at Guwahati, and that is nothing but 0.4. So once you will read the problem or once you will read the word carefully, you will get to know each and individual concepts. Similarly, if we will talk about the 0.65, you will get to know once you will be reading this problem thoroughly. 0.65, that means M of D is to be calculated in terms of probability when the M of G is already been occurred. If you will say, what is the 0.65, sir? 0.65 is probability that the temperature is medium in Delhi when it is known that the temperature is medium in Guwahati. Yes. So at least you must be knowing the requirement of the each and the individual data. If you'll say what it is, sir, 0.10, the 0.10 is nothing but the probability of H of D when the M of G is already occurred. If you'll say what is 0.50, so this is the probability of M of D, probability that the temperature in Delhi is medium when L of G is already occurred. Yes. So total line number of data are being given. Try it out, try it out. I know it will take a little bit time, but yes, it is a well designed problem and many of us would get stuck on this problem. That is why I have taken this problem. That is why I have taken this problem. And it's a problem of Bayes theorem, and it's a problem of Bayes theorem. I need to go into the next slide. So whatever the important data you wanted to write, you can write over the copy, because once I'll go into the next slide, probably you will not have any reference of this complete problem. Yes, try by yourself. What's the best most answer we may get from this problem? Tell me. So the datas have started coming. The first data which we have got it is 0.6, 0.78, 0.157. Yes, the varieties of the answers have started coming. It's not that tough problem, but yes, I can say it's a well-designed problem. Well-designed problem. Yes. Tell me what would be the best most problem? Now try to figure it out. Try to figure it out. What is 0.10? It's the probability that the temperature in Delhi is high when it is found, or it has been found, the temperature in Guwahati is medium. And now you can see by yourself, my dear friends, temperature in Guwahati and Delhi would be sort of dependent to each other, because both of the cities falls in the India, and you cannot say, sir, in Guwahati it's too cold, and when the temperature in Guwahati is too low, the temperature in Delhi would be too high. No, it won't be there. It won't be there. So you can say there would be a certain dependency over each other. You can see very well. Just try to understand in this way. Which one is the highest data over this row? Obviously the middlemost data is the highest data over this row. Why? Because you wanted to get the probability, or you were calculating the probability that the temperature in Delhi is medium when the temperature in Guwahati is medium. Obviously it would be the highest probable data. Similarly, if you talk about the first row, here you are talking about the probability that the temperature in Delhi is high, provided the temperature in Guwahati is high. Obviously, my dear friends, if the temperature in Guwahati is high, probably the temperature in Delhi would also be high. And you can see very well, the highest data is the first data, and the least data is 0.12. What it says? The probability that the temperature in Delhi is low, whereas we found the temperature in Guwahati is too high. My dear friends, it won't happen. Mostly it won't happen. Why? Because they are nearby. If they are not nearby, at least they are falling in the same country. So if the temperature is high in one of the city, probably it would be higher probable, or highly probable, that the temperature would be high in the next city. And almost you can visualize what I wanted to communicate over here. Yes, no? Yes. Anyways, let me go ahead. Few of the important datas I can copy from here, and no issue. Let me straight away jump into the next question. Jump into the next slide, and we'll try to smash this problem out. Now the last statement makes hell amount of sense. What you had to calculate? See, if I know P of Hg, P of Mg, P of Lg, then the probability that the Guwahati has high temperature, that means you wanted to calculate the probability that the Guwahati is being at high temperature, given that the Delhi has high temperature. That means the Delhi is also at high temperature. Yes, that we have to calculate. Obviously, they are the conditional probability. Easily we can smash with the help of intersection, and which would become P of Hg intersection Hd divided by of P of Hd. Yes, P of Hd. Now, if you'll see this problem keenly, you do not exactly know the value of P of Hd. How the P of Hd would be calculated? For that, you had to take the reference of Bayes theorem. Just try to understand what I wanted to say. Bayes theorem. At background, you are taking the reference of Guwahati. you are taking the reference of Guwahati. The temperature within the Guwahati can be bifurcated in 3 different parts. What are they? Either it may fall into the low temperature, medium temperature or high temperature. So here it's going to be low, medium, high. If you want, you can simply write this as L of G, M of G, H of G. L of G, M of G, H of G. Now, even you can have the 3 front round event. What are they? What are they? The temperature in Delhi is, let's take low. It can come from the 3 different portions of the Venn diagram. So here I am discussing about the temperature in Delhi is high. Now, the 3 different ways it can come. How are the 3 different ways? The P of HD when the temperature in Guwahati is low. Similarly, P of HD when the temperature in Guwahati is medium. Similarly, P of HD when the temperature in Guwahati is high. Similarly, you can have the another Venn diagram for M of D. Similarly, you can have the another Venn diagram for L of D. L of D. Yes. So far, whichever the type of problems we were taking, only we were having only one front ground event, but now in this problem we have got the 3 different front ground event. Anyways, which particular event we had to take into the consideration? My dear friends, you can see very well, if we have been dealing with the P of HD, obviously we had to focus over only one front ground event. It has the 3 different portions. The one portion is falling over the L of G, the next portion is falling over the M of G, and similarly the next portion is falling over H of D. H of D. Yes. So easily you can write P of HD is equals to intersection of HD and L of G. Similarly, intersection of HD and MG. Similarly, intersection of HD and HG. Now, if you'll see the given data, the value of P of HG is clearly given in this problem. P of HG is being given as 0.2. Similarly, P of MG is 0.5. Similarly, the value of P of LG is also given, and that is nothing but 0.3. Yes, what it indicates? The probability that the temperature in Guwahati would be higher, it is somewhere 0.2, medium is somewhere 0.5, and what larger, high or low is somewhere 0.3, and definitely their addition you can see also, that has to be 1. Obviously the temperature in Guwahati would be either in lower side, higher side, or the medium side, Yes, no? So now what I would be doing, I would be applying the conditional probability. If I know the value of L of G, H of G, M of G, so what I would be doing, I would just be applying P of LG would be taken out, and here the factor which would be left out is simply going to be HD divided by of LG, yes, plus of, here it becomes P of MG HD divided by of mg, and you will have the third factor also. And that would be P of HG, P of HD divided by of HG. Anyways, these data are known to me. It's a 0.3, then it's a 0.5, and then it's a 0.2. So anyways, we can start feeding those data. So here it becomes 0.3 has to get multiplied with this factor which is already given in your table, plus of the P of mg. The P of mg is nothing but 0.5, has to get multiplied with this factor which is already given in your table. And now we come to this point, and here the P of hg is nothing but 0.2 and has to get multiplied with this factor. Yes. Anyways, once you are picking the data from the table, do not do any mistake, and even do not do any sequence mistake. May I know what's the worth of P of HD when the LG is already been occurred? the LG is already been occurred and we had to focus over the value of HD. Tell me which data has to be picked in, which data has to be picked in, which data has to be picked in, and which data has to be picked in. Pick those all datas and get the answer. Pick those all datas and get the answer. Anyways, let me pick the datas now. So if we'll talk about the probability that the temperature is high in Delhi, whereas it has been found the temperature was low in Guwahati. So you had to search the value in which it falls in the LG row as well as HD column. So simply it's gonna be 0.01, 0.01. So here goes 0.01. Yes, 0.01. Similarly, P of HD divided by of mg, the probability that the temperature in Delhi is high whereas the temperature in Guwahati is medium. That means you have to search the data in the mg row and HD column, which is simply equals to of 0.10. And similarly, if we'll talk about the P of HD divided by of hg, that means you have to search the data over the hg column and hd row, and that is nothing but the 0.40. Any mistake out. And now even this data is already been calculated. Yes, where it has been calculated, h of g intersection h of d, which is nothing but the last data, which is equals to of 0.2 into 0.4 divided by the sum of all. .10 plus of 0.2 into 0.4. I would expect answer from each one of you. Tell me how much exact answer we are getting for this particular problem. Anyways, I also had to calculate this. 0.2 into 0.4 gets divided with 0.3 into, tell me how much answer we are getting. 0.3 into plus of 0.5 into 0.1 plus of 0.2 into 0.4. Tell me. Exact answer we are getting is nothing but 0.6. This is what my exact answer is. So far we were dealing with the different kinds of the problem which were based on the concept of the Bayes theorem. See, such a beautiful design problem it is. Unnecessarily so much amount of data they have given along with the problem just to make you confuse, and probably if you are well acquainted with the problem related to the Bayes theorem, you would be able to extract the important data, and end of the day you would be able to calculate the probability that the temperature in Guwahati is high, whereas it has been already found that the temperature in Delhi is high. Yes. Is it clear? If it is clear, just write clear. So at least I'll have the fair idea that you guys could understood this concept thoroughly. If it is clear, just write clear. So let me see their comments. So let me focus over the comments. Tell me, each and everything is clear till this point? Clear, no? Let me see that. Clear. Now it would be a homework. You had to calculate the P of Hg when MD is already occurred. That means the calculation has to be made over this second event. Similarly, they may also ask the P of Hg when LD is already occurred. Then that means you had to analyze over the third event. Yes. Anyways, let me go forward. So it's a time for seventh question. Anyways, let me bring that question out. So here goes my seventh question. Read this problem carefully. This is the problem based on the concept of eigenvalues and eigenvectors. Let me read the problem word by word, and now I would be giving around 2 minutes to decode this problem out. Let the eigenvalues of 2 cross 2 matrix, that means we have got a square matrix with the order of 2 cross 2, be 1 and minus 2. Obviously, the two number of eigenvalues you will be having, maybe repeating, maybe distinct, maybe real, or maybe complex. But yes, they are, you can see very well, they are real with the eigenvectors x1 and x2 respectively. Then following is are the correct statement. Is and are indicates it's a type of MSQ. You can have more than one number of answer, and you had to be very cautious on this sort of problem. Yes, the four number of options were given. The eigenvalues of the matrix a square minus of 3a plus of 4i would be respectively 2 and 14. The second problem, the eigenvector will not have any change, corresponds to new matrix a square minus of 3a plus of 4i. Eigenvector x1 is multiplied with the matrix A produces same vector. Eigenvector x1 is multiplied with the a square minus of 3a plus of 4y produces an enlarged vector with a multiplication factor of 2 without any rotation. Try to smash this problem. Tell me what would be the best most answer for this given problem. Tell me what would be the best most answer for this given problem. Until and unless the concept of eigenvalues and eigenvectors are not clear, no, probably you are going to trap on this point. So you must recall what you have studied as the concept of eigenvalues and eigenvectors. From there only you would be able to smash this problem out. You had to smash this problem out. Just recall what we have studied as a part of the concepts of eigenvalues as well as eigenvectors. Tell me. So answers have started coming. The first answer which has been popped out is AD. Anything else? So okay, let me focus over this problem. Just a minute. See, here it has been clearly given, you have got a matrix A. It's a given data, no? Which is in order of 2 cross 2. And we have got the eigenvalues, two eigenvalues. What are they? First is lambda 1. The second is lambda 2, minus 2. And in corresponding with lambda 1, the eigenvector which we have got it is x1, and in corresponding to the lambda 2, the eigenvector which we have got it is x2. Then with the help of the 4 different options, they have been asking among of the 4 different options, which are the options are correct and which are the options are wrong. A, C, D. My dear friends, need not to give the answer more than one times. Unnecessarily, the live chat gets over. Yes, tell me what would be the best most answer. Tell me. Try to understand in this way. Could you understand what is it basic fundamental of eigenvalues and eigenvectors? If you'll go into the basic understanding of eigenvalues and eigenvectors, you'll get to know if eigenvector multiplies with its matrix, you'll get to know the resultant used to be just an scalar multiplier with the eigenvector. What I wanted to say, x would be a eigenvector. For the time being, it's just an vector. Yes, this vector gets multiplied with A, and usually whenever the vector gets multiplied with any sort of the matrix, there used to be the rotation. If you want, I can give an example. What I am saying, let's take, you have got a vector 1, 2, 1 and 2. How it's vector? The 1 is in position of x and similarly 2 is in position of y. Simply you can write this as 1ax cap, 2ay cap. So in future, if you would draw this vector over the 2D plane, you will get to know the first component is a component of x, so somewhere here it's a 1 and somewhere here it's a 2, 1 and 2. So this point is nothing but 1, 2, 1, 2. Is sort of this. Obviously it's a vector. So many of the time I have seen the student get confused, sir, how this has been called as a vector. Yes, my dear friends, it's a vector alone. It's a vector alone. Similarly, you can have the 3 datas. In that time, this point would be over the 3D space. If you have the n number of datas, you will be having the n dimensional space. You will be having n dimensional space. Yes. Till this point, each and everything is clear. Now, arbitrarily, if you multiply with any of the matrix, let's take 0, 1, 2 and 0. May I know what would be the result? It's a 2 cross 2. It's a 2 cross 1. The answer has to be 2 cross 1 only. 2 cross 1 only. So the 0 would get multiplied with 1, that would become 0. The 1 would get multiplied with 2, that would become 2. And similarly 2 would get multiplied with 1, that would become 2. And the 0 would get multiplied with 2, that would become 0. Now you can see very well the 2 comma 2 where it is being kept in, this would be kept in somewhere here. Yes. And now you can see when this eigenvector or the vector for the time being, this was a vector, no? This was a vector, got multiplied with any random matrix, then the resultant was rotation in the earlier eigenvector or the vector. Obviously the rotation has been taken place, and even their enlargement has also been taken place. Yes, enlargement has also been taken place. That's fine thing. But here when we deal with the eigenvector, one concept is quite clear what it is. If x gets multiplied with its own matrix, there would not be any rotation, because this eigenvector is just getting multiplied with a constant component, and whenever a vector gets multiplied with a constant component, there would be only enlargement or squeezeness of the given vector. Yes. So could you understand what I wanted to say? Whenever we talk about the eigenvectors, the matrix to matrix multiplication becomes a scalar to matrix multiplication. That means rather getting any rotation because of the multiplication of A, it would get only and only scaling with the factor of lambda, Agreed what I am saying? Provided the x has to get multiplied with its own A. Arbitrarily, you cannot just multiply x with any of the matrix. The x has to get multiplied with its own matrix A, for which the x has been calculated. Agreed what I am saying? What I am saying, if the matrix and matrix multiplication is taking place randomly, if you take this vector gets multiplied with any random matrix, definitely there used to be a certain movement in their direction. There used to be the rotation, but if x gets precisely multiplied with its own vector, there would not be any rotation, there would be only scaling with the factor of lambda, Yes. Anyways, the same concept I will bring into the next page. So few of the important factors we can calculate, which would be very handy and as well as useful. So here Ax is equals to of lambda x. Although while writing it might be looking very simple to understand, but conceptually it is much deeper. Here there is a multiplication between the two vectors, or there is a multiplication between the two matrix component, but it becomes just a multiplication of a scalar and a matrix component. That means as far as this vector is concerned, this vector is not getting any rotation, it is getting just enlargement with the factor of lambda. Now in future what I can do, just try to understand how I can use this outcome and you can manipulate the future aspects. See, now if I take the reference of a square minus of 3i a square minus of 3a plus of 4i. I wanted to know what would be its new eigenvalue. What I would be doing? I would just be multiplying the eigenvector towards the right hand side. Keep in mind they are the matrix multiplication, and as x gets multiplied with a square, so simply it would become a square of x minus 3 of ax plus of 4i into x is simply 4x. Keep in mind, it's a matrix multiplication, so you cannot follow the commutative law. Multiplication of x has to come towards right hand side alone. Now you can see very well, see, a square x can be written as a into a of x, and a of x is nothing but lambda of x, yes, minus 3. A of x can also be written as lambda of x plus 4 of x, yes. And as you can see very well, the lambda is a constant quantity, it can be brought it out. So it becomes lambda, again a of x, and a of x is nothing but lambda of x, minus here 3 of lambda of x is again what, lambda of x, anyways keep lambda of x as lambda of x, and here it goes 4 of x. So put together it becomes lambda square minus of 3 of lambda plus of 4, and now which is getting multiplied with the eigenvector x, May I know what it was? It was a matrix which was getting multiplied with a matrix, but end of the day what it is? It's a just and constant which is getting multiplied with the matrix. Anyways, for a, effective eigenvalue was lambda, so for a square minus of 3a plus 4i, the effective eigenvalue would be lambda square minus of 3 lambda plus of 4. Yes, no? And one more important thing, the eigenvector did not change, the eigenvector remained as it is. So easily with the different values of lambda, you can calculate what would be the new effective lambda when the matrix was changed from a to a square minus of 3a plus of 4i. So what you had to do? You had to just use the older value of lambda, you had to feed the value of lambda over here, or you can just feed the value of lambda over a and you will get the new value of lambda. Yes, initially when you have a, you had lambda 1, may I know what it was? The lambda 1 was 1, and similarly you had the another lambda as what it is, minus 2. Now the a have changed to a cube minus of 3a plus of 4i. So the new lambda, I may call it lambda 1 and lambda 2, would simply be a would get replaced with the lambda which is nothing but 1, so simply it becomes 1 square minus of 3 plus of 4 which is simply equals to of 2, yes. And similarly if we'll talk about the lambda 2 days, I need to feed minus 2 in this place, so it becomes plus of 4, and here it becomes plus of 12. How much exact answer we are getting? Just try to get the answer out of it. Tell me how much answer we are getting. So probably we would be getting the answer as how much? 14 we are getting. Yes, it's a 6, no? It's a 6. The answer which we are getting is simply equals to 14. So I would recommend to each one of you, if the lambda is known for a certain matrix A, and if the help of the same matrix, if a polynomial matrix has been framed like it is a square minus of 3a plus of 4i, so keep in mind, if you had to get the new value of lambda, just feed the value of a as lambda, you will get the new value of lambda, which is nothing but the lambda 1 dash, lambda 2 dash. And could you figure it out or not? I do not know exactly. For the lambda 1, if the eigenvector is x1, for the lambda 1 dash, even the eigenvector would not change, it would remain x1. You can see very well, the place of this factor got changed. Yes, the place of this factor got changed. Earlier it was lambda of x, but now it is lambda square minus of 3 lambda plus of 4. That means the effective value of eigenvalue got changed, but the effective value of eigenvector did not change. Yes? So x2 would also not change. So if we'll list down all of the data's eigenvalues of a square minus of 3a plus 4i would respectively be, obviously sir, eigenvectors will not have any change corresponding to the new matrix a square minus of 3a plus of 4i. Although eigenvalue changed from 1 to 2, minus 2 to 14, but for 1 the eigenvectors were x1 and x2, but now for the 2 also the eigenvectors would be x1 and x2. There would not be any change in eigenvectors. There would not be any change in eigenvectors. Yes. Next, eigenvector will not have any, yes, obviously. Next, eigenvalue x1 is multiplied with the matrix A. Keep in mind, if eigenvector x1 is multiplied with the matrix A, produces the same vector. Obviously, my dear friend, if eigenvector x1 gets multiplied with the matrix A, may I know the x1 had the eigenvalue, you can see very well, the x1 had the eigenvalue as 1 corresponding. So here it becomes 1 which just gets multiplied with x. And now if A and x multiplication takes place, which is simply equals to of x, you can see very well the eigenvector x1 is multiplied with A. Yes sir, multiplication has been taken place, produces the same vector. Yes sir, it produces the same vector. It produces the same vector. Now if eigenvector x1 is multiplied with the matrix A square minus of 3a plus of 4i, yes sir, produces an enlargement vector with the multiplier factor of 2 without any rotation. Obviously, my dear friend, you can see very well, if the x1 gets multiplied with the new vector, I may call it the vector b. May I know what was its corresponding eigenvalue? The eigenvalue for 1, the corresponding eigenvalue was 2. The 2 was getting multiplied with x. So you can see very well, obviously, the eigenvector did not have any rotation. It's just an enlargement with the factor of 2. It's just an enlargement with a factor of 2. So if we'll talk about the possible answers, all of 4 are the possible answers. Now I would ask from each one of you, if any sort of doubt you guys are having in either of the options, you can ask, because the eigenvalues and eigenvectors are literally very, very important topics. Very, very important topics. Tell me whether we are thorough with each and individual concepts or not. Tell me. Just I wanted to know if any sort of doubt you guys are having, you can just ask over here. So at least I'll have the fair idea. Any sort of doubt if you guys are having, I can just pinpoint that doubt there itself. Pinpoint the doubt there itself. Yes. So let me move into the next question. And here comes my next question. Just a minute. 8th problem comes over here. Yes. 8th problem comes over here. Again, this problem is from linear algebra. And I have seen this problem have been repeatedly come in mechanical, in civil, as well as instrumentation. So probably I think this sort of problem may get repeated in either of the branch. So let me read the problem carefully. What the problem states: match the linear transformation matrix listed in the first column to their interpretation in the second column. Now we have got the 2 different columns, and each and the individual columns have got the 4 number of rows. We start with the first row, the P1000, and then the first column over the first row is going to be stretched in the y-axis, so on and so forth. Read this problem carefully. Sir, please clear option D once more. That is what I am saying. No, you guys need not to have delay. What I am saying, my dear friends, if eigenvector x1, anyways, what I am saying, either you take the matrix A, either you take the matrix A square minus of 3a plus of 4i, eigenvector is not going to change. Earlier for A, taking the reference of lambda 1, the eigenvector was x1. Similarly, now for the matrix A square minus of 3a plus 4i, taking the reference of lambda 1 dash, even the eigenvector is very same. So what is happening over here? A square minus of 3a plus of 4i. Let's take this as matrix B. Yes, matrix B gets multiplied with its own eigenvector. The eigenvector is very same as x1. Now tell me how much multiplication factor it would get. It would get the multiplication factor as its new eigenvector, or the eigenvector corresponding to the a square minus of 3a plus of 4i, which we have already calculated. For 1, the eigenvalue was changed to 2. So it is just getting multiplied with 2. So you can say the eigenvalue x1 is multiplied with the matrix, produces an enlargement vector with the multiplier factor of 2 without any rotation. Yes, without any rotation. Now one doubt they have, C also, okay. Anyways, probably the answer have started coming for this problem. Let me see what the problem indicates exactly. See, match the linear transformation matrix listed in the first column to their interpretation in the second column. Stretch in y-axis, uniform stretch in x-axis and y-axis, projection in x-axis, projection in y-axis, projection in y-axis. May I know what does it mean by the projection in x-axis and y-axis? Just take a coordinate system. Just take a coordinate system. Yes, I have taken a coordinate system. And you can see over this problem, we have been dealing with the component of x as well as y. That means we are dealing with a 2D coordinate system. 2D coordinate system. So here it's gonna be x. Let's take this axis is dedicated towards y. Towards y. Yes. Now, if you have a point over a 2D plane, let's take its x1, y1. Let's take its x1, y1. Yes. Now, if you wanted to know its projection over the y-axis, may I know how will you get that? You had to just extend a parallel line started from x1, y1 connecting to y1. So obviously it's simply gonna be y1. And similarly, if you are interested finding the projection over the x-axis, you have to take a vertical line connecting to the x, and obviously the worth would be x1, x1. And one thing must be clear to all of us. At y-axis, the value of x remains 0, so simply the new point, or I can say the projection of the x1, y1 would be 0, of y1. And similarly, if we'll talk about the projection of x1, y1 over the x-axis, obviously the value of y would be 0. And it would be, how it's possible? How it's possible? Yes, either manually you can calculate this, or with the help of mathematics also it's possible. How? We have got x1 and we have got y1. We have got x1, we have got y1. End of the day, the result which we had to get is nothing but, let's take x1 and 0. When this result has to come? This result has to come when we are calculating the projection over the x-axis. Yes, this result should come. This result should come. And may I know when this result should come or will come? It would come if you have a matrix like 1, 0, 0 and 0. So obviously, whenever you are looking for the projection of x1, y1 over the x-axis, the projection matrix has to be 1, 0, 0, 0. So it is a projection over the x-axis. Similarly, if we will talk about the projection over the y-axis, that means you have got a matrix x1, y1. The transformed matrix must be 0 and y1. Obviously, if it is projected over the y-axis, the component of x has to be 0. So it has to be 0 and y1. May I know what are the different data has to be fed in over this matrix? Obviously, it has to be like, it's going to be simply 0, it's going to be simply 0, it's going to be 0, it's going to be 1, it's going to be 1. And now, once you multiply them together, definitely the result which you get is going to be 0 and y1. Yes. So here this P is nothing but the projection in x-axis. Similarly, it's nothing but the projection in y-axis. Now you can see very well. If you wanted to enlarge the x1, y1, if you really wants to enlarge the x1, y1, what would be your approach? What would be your approach? You would take a connecting path from the origin and you can extend this point in the same line. Yes. What I am saying is stretching. What I am saying enlargement. I am not saying any rotation. That means I had to be over the same axis and now I can enlarge this line. What does that mean of it? That means the x1 and y1 should get multiplied with a common constant factor k. Like if x1, y1 is kept at 1, 1, now they can go to 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. That means both should get multiplied with the same multiplier factor. When it's possible, if you want, I can mark it over here. So here it's going to be x1, y1. The result has to be k times of x1, the same multiplier factor should come along with y1 also. Should come along with the y1 also. Yes. So may I know what multiplier factor you had to have? The multiplier factor what you have to have is going to be k, 0, 0 and k, where the k could be any positive real quantity, 2, 3, 4, maybe 2.5. You can see very well here in this problem, k has been precisely written as, yes, And now the r is nothing but the stretch in y-axis. You yourself would be able to understand why. Because the 1 indicates there would not be any enlargement or compressment over the x component, and 3 indicates there would be the enlargement of y component with the multiplier factor of 3. With the multiplier factor of 3. Yes, no? With the multiplier factor of 3. So if we'll list down, the p is getting connected with 3. Q is getting connected with the 4, R is getting connected with the 1, S is getting connected with the 2, obviously the C is going to be the bestmost answer. C is going to be the bestmost answer. Let me do one thing, let me go into the next problem. So let me take the next question. This is already done, just a minute. Let me go into the next question, yes. 9th question. I do not know why, but repeatedly this problem have been coming in GATE examination, either in terms of series, either in terms of integration. Anyways, the problem indicates the infinite series, it's a series, no, probably, it has been, it's a series. 1 divided by of 1 divided by of root 2 plus of 1 divided by of root 3 plus 1 divided by of root 4 plus 1 divided by of root 5, it goes on. Anyways, the resultant of this series would be converging in nature, diverging in nature, oscillatory in nature, unstable in nature, unstable in nature. Tell me what would be the bestmost answer? No issue, my dear friends, there is an FT session from 10 PM in main channel. No issue, we are just going to bind it up. So probably till 10 PM, definitely we are going to cover this complete session. Tell me what would be the bestmost answer for this given problem. For this given problem. Anyways, we start with the solution. This particular discrete series can also be written as 1 divided by of n to the power of half, where the n starts from 1 and obviously as it is an infinite term series, it will go till infinity. Yes, no? And if you guys would be able to recall, clearly the crisp concept of this particular problem was communicated during my crash course. This is the important factor which would decide whether the resultant would be diverging in nature or whether it would be converging in nature. But anyways, before going into the detailed analysis of this, you should have a clear-cut idea. You are dealing with positive term series, yes. And whenever you deal with the positive term series, you have been left out with only two possibilities. Either the solution can converge to a certain fixed value, either it can diverge. Yes, converge or diverge. So obviously the oscillation and instability has been ruled out. If you have been dealing with alternating series, only the two outcome can come, and that's nothing but the convergent as well as oscillating. Divergence is not at all the solution at all. But anyways, as far as the positive term series is concerned, only two possibilities were left out, and that's nothing but the convergence as well as divergence. Yes. Now this P is going to decide, I can say P. If P is lesser than even equals to of 1, keep in mind the resultant of this would always be diverging. Resultant of this discrete sum would always be diverging. And now if P is greater than 1, the resultant of discrete sum would always be converging. And even the same concept also comes along with the integration of 1 to the power of infinity x to the power of p dx, It's an improper integration. Why? Because one limit is going towards infinity. Here also the same problem persists. If p is lesser than equals to of 1, the integration does not exist. It's called divergent integration. And similarly, if the p goes greater than 1, you reaches to a certain fixed value, and hence it's been said to be convergent integration. Just I wanted to know from each one of you, What would be the integration of 1 divided by x to the power of p 1 to infinity dx when the p is greater than 1? P is greater than 1. I want the integration from each one of you. Each one of you. Yes, I want the comment over the live chat. And as far as this problem is concerned, you can see very well the value of p. The value of p is how much? Half. And definitely it falls within the range of p lesser than equals to of 1. So the result would be purely diverging in nature. Result would be purely diverging in nature. And yes, this problem have come repeatedly so many number of times in your GATE examination. Utterly important problem it is. Integration from 1 to infinity 1 divided by x to the power of p x dx. Tell me whether it's a converging or diverging in nature. Yes, it's diverging when the p is less than equals to of 1, and it's converging when p is greater than 1. Anyways, you had to calculate by your own. It's a very, very important question which have been coming repeatedly. Yes. Now here we go ahead with the last question of the day. Image. Probably the 10th question. Here goes the 10th question. Here goes the 10th question. And I have seen this sort of problem have been repeatedly coming in your GATE examination, where you have been dealing with a higher order linear differential equation, but this is not the linear differential equation with the constant coefficients. They have been following a certain strict relationship or strict structure. Tell me what would be the best most answer for this given problem. Let me read what the problem states. Consider the differential equation x square d square y by of dx square plus of x dy dx minus of 4 times of y is equals to v0 with the boundary condition of y of 0 is equals to 0 and y is equals to 1 is equals to 1. The complete solution of the differential equation is. Tell me what would be the best most answer for this problem. One doubt have come, not clear, sir. Yeah, no issue, my dear friends. Already I have communicated each and every crisp detail in my crash course, so probably I may not be in condition to repeat each and individual concepts. Just focus on this problem. Anyways, this problem have come from the Cauchy's form of integral, which could be converted into the form of linear differential equation with constant coefficient. So far, most of the time, whenever we deal with the higher order differential equation, we used to have the component of the coefficient which is getting multiplied with the differential component used to be the constant. But now we are dealing with a specialized case of linear higher order differential equation when the independent term is getting multiplied with the derivative term with a certain standard structure. What it is? Here, if it is a double derivative, you can see very well the component of independent variable and its power is in form of 2. And here you can see very well the component of derivative is in first order and the multiplier factor of x is also in the first degree. And here the component of differentiation in zeroth order, so here it becomes x to the power of 0. So could you understand what I am saying? When you are dealing with the Cauchy's form of higher differential equation, like if you have x cube d cube y of dx cube plus of 2x square d square y by of dx square, maybe plus of 3x dy by of dx. Importantly, the each and individual derivative component should also get multiplied with the same degree of independent variable or same degree of x. Like here it's x square, here it's x, here it's a 0, here it's 0. Yes, the constant coefficient may come over here. There is no doubt as such. Constant coefficient may come over here. Yes. So what we do with this problem? I used to take dy by of dx x together as d of y, where the d is a differential operator and here the differentiation has been taken in terms of t. Don't have to get confused. Similarly, x square d square y by of dx square has to be taken as d minus 1 of y. And here Here again the d is nothing but the d of dt. And if it becomes x cube d cube y divided by dx cube, then it becomes d minus 1 d minus 2 y. And here the x has been taken as e to the power of t. X has been taken as e to the power of t. So what you have to do, you have to replace this problem completely. X square d square y by of dx square has to be replaced with the d minus 1. That simply becomes d square minus of d, which gets multiplied with y. Similarly, x of dy by of dx, that simply equals to d of y, and here it becomes minus 4 times of y. Keep in mind the differentiation has been taken in terms of t now. Differentiation has been taken in terms of t now. Yes. So here it becomes d square of y minus of d of y. This and this goes out. This and this goes out. So the value of d had been minus 2 as well as plus 2, where the d is nothing but dou y of dou t. So the y would be e to the power of minus 2t, e to the power of plus 2t. So what you can do, e to the power of minus 2t can be written as e to the power of t to the power of minus 2, and e to the power of t is already been taken as x square. So one would become x square, the another would become x to the power of minus 2, obviously with few constants. Which constants? Arbitrary constants. And once you will be taking the boundary conditions, you will get to know neither of the options are getting matched. Only one option would be correct, and that is nothing but x square. That is nothing but x square. So what I would recommend, which are the problems are well-designed problem? Yes, this was one of the well-designed problem where you had to have a little bit relationship between the eigenvalues and eigenvectors, how they would affect when a new matrix has been made with the help of older matrix. At the same time, you should also have a clear-cut idea what about the rotation of the vector and what about the enlargement of the vector. Yes, this problem was based on the core theoretical portion of the eigenvalues and eigenvectors. Although this problem looks haphazard, but this is very straight problem. Once you will try to understand the each and individual data which were provided with this problem, you will get to know it is a problem based on the Bayes theorem. And obviously they have been asking the dependency or dependent probability of h of g when the h of d is already been occurred. And even in future they may also ask the several kinds of problems like p of md when the hd is already occurred, p of ld when the hd is already been occurred. So more or less the person who have gone through the concept of Bayes theorem, they may expect this sort of problem also. Yes. This is the problem I understand many of us would find very difficult because the same concept was taken in different ways. First, the two problems were very straight problems. I was just focusing whether the vector is curl free vector or not, whether the divergence factor free vectors or not, but I got to know the vector is a curl free vector. Now the application of the curl free vector have come into the picture in C as well as T. It is a path independent vector. What does that mean of it? If you start from the same point, you end at the same point, that means virtually the line integration is going to be 0. And if you start from 1, 1, 1 to 0, 0, 0 with so many different segments, so without thinking much, you can simply jump from 1, 1, 1 to 0, 0, 0, and you need not to think about even path. You can straight away take this straight line. Yes, and even this problem was a utterly delicious problem, and here until and unless you do not exactly know how the mod of x sin x would change its nature from pi to 2 pi, you would not be able to address this problem. So it was an integration by parts. 0 to pi, one integration has to be taken place, and pi to 2 pi, the nature of mod of x sin 2x becomes minus of x sin x. So the integration has to be taken in parts. 0 to pi x sin x, pi to 2 pi minus x sin x. This was a thoroughly important problem. This was a designed or the well-designed problem where I was looking for the open surface integral. I know many of us would get stuck over this point because they may not be able to understand whether we are looking for the closed surface integral or the open surface integral. And if many of us could have understood that we are dealing with the open surface integral, still they would have one doubt, sir. Here we are having both of the component. We are getting a component of a Cartesian coordinate system as well as the spherical coordinate system, how to deal with. So what I have done, deliberately I have chosen the vector in such a way that its divergence is going to be simply 0. So that means in future if you are taking a closed surface, there would not be net flux coming out. So deliberately what I did, I took z is equals to 0 plane which is enclosing towards the downside. And now you can say the net flux coming out is simply 0. So why don't we take the flux interaction with z is equals to 0 plane? The same flux interaction would take place with the spherical surface. That's a different thing. If the flux is coming out from the downside, the flux would come from the inside, and similarly if the flux is coming inside, definitely the flux would leave from the spherical region. And even the formula also indicates the same, no? What it indicates, if you wanted to calculate the open surface, this would go towards right hand side and the polarity would become reverse. Yes. This is also a well designed problem, because once in a while I have seen in 3 or 4 years, they used to give a word problem, and from word problem you had to extract the function first and then you had to discuss or you had to apply the concept of the maxima and minima. Whenever you find the maxima or minima in any word problem, you just understand in this way, the function has to be extracted from the given function or given word problem, and now the concept of maxima and minima has to be applied. One mistake the people may do, what it is, although they have taken the v of x or although they have extracted the v of x, but one mistake they may make, the x has to be in between 0 to 1. Otherwise you are cutting the x in such a way that even the breadth has been over. No, you can't do that. You had to be within your limit of length as well as breadth. The breadth is shorter in length, so you had to be worried about the breadth only. And similarly in the same sequence, probably we have taken the first question also. This was a problem where I was discussing about the continuity, discontinuity, the limit existence of a function which contains the 2 number of independent variables, and probably I feel either of these stream may experience this sort of problem. Yes. Anyways, the agenda of today's video got over. I wanted to take the 10 number of problems. Many of the problems was the problem where most of the students were getting stuck. Now the student will demoralize themselves. Sir, no sir, we are not able to solve all of the 10 problems. That means we are not well acquainted or we are not well equipped for the GATE 2021. No, my dear friends, deliberately I have taken few of the off-track problem, and I expect this sort of problem may come in your GATE examination, 1 or 2, not much. And the way the Gurupal sir have dealt the 10 questions, you can understand in this way. The depth of the problem, the level of the problem would be very same as the Gurupal sir have dealt in the main channel. So I have just given few number of extra problems from where the questions can be framed, and yes, the problem can be appeared in the GATE examination. So probably one more session is running in parallel, so you can hop into that, and till then, bye bye, take care. We'll meet with the next video probably tomorrow. Thank you. Thanks a lot.